satisfaction with the same IEBC expected to carry out the referendum. Now, there are three gentlemen who seem also to be reading from different scripts. That's Deputy President William Ruto, Raila Odinga, and of course other leaders. And the Jubilee Party ODM leader Raila Odinga now says he is willing to unite with like-minded leaders even as he faces rebellion from within his own party ODM, where some of the members of parliament have openly declared allegiance for the deputy president. That forms part of our conversation this morning with David Osiany and Silvanus Osoro, who is a member of parliament. And of course, our team from the business desk that is at work also, and Dan Mwangi is right here in studio to give us a brief in just a bit. Daniel Mule is at Jamhuri Park for the Nairobi International Trade Fair. Lois Wangoi is in Eldoret for us. Kevin Mutai in Mombasa, and John Kadovilis is at the launch of the 10th Isaiah Kiplagat Ndalat Marathon, if I got it right. Now, we also have live pictures from our newsroom. Right there, that's our team getting ready to bring you first-hand and authoritative news from around and beyond. But first, Lois Wangoi will be speaking to us. Kevin Mutai is also on hold, and Ouko Kusa. But let's speak to Dan Mwangi. What do you have on the business desk?
Well, Ken, as always, you're making sense of all that's making sense. And with all the conversation about the Finance Act 2018 still ongoing, as much as, pretty much looks like we are moving on, but there's still a lot of debate and concerns about the same. And KPMG, that's the financial services firm, is hosting a forum on the same, and we shall be giving you details during our business bulletin in this broadcast on what they have said and some of the concerns they have raised, some of which are legal. And we shall be giving you those details when we come to do the business bulletin. Back to you, Ken.
Right, Dan Mwangi, thank you very much. Dan will be joining us in the next hour or so, but first let's cross over to Mombasa. That's where Kevin Mutai is, County 001. Kevin, good morning, good to see you. I don't know if you're still swimming in the floods, but talk to us about what's happening in Mombasa. In relation to our topic this morning, we are speaking about what's happening, what's current, the referendum, the talks about Raila Odinga trying to edge that's the Deputy President William Ruto from the Jubilee Party. People have said it's impossible. People have said it's possible. But from where you are, what are the people of County 001 saying about it?
Well, good morning, Ken, from the coastal city of Mombasa, right here at our offices, the NTV offices in Mombasa, CBD. And, well, of course, that is a conversation that has been going on here in Mombasa, considering the fact that the Deputy President has been really campaigning and visiting the coastal counties. And, of course, the issue that has been cropping up lately is the fact that he's been with some of members of parliament affiliated to the ODM party, and of course we will be following up on the issue of the ODM disciplinary committee summoning some of the members, including Aisha Juma of Malindi and his Msambweni counterpart Suleiman Dori. Of course, we've had Aisha coming out clearly saying that that she's never received any official letter from the party summoning her to appear before the disciplinary committee. But of course, we will be going around sampling the views of the residents here in Mombasa. And also, we are following on other stories going on currently. Remember, the Deputy President was here a couple of days ago, and he visited Kisauni, that is in Majaoni, where he issued over 3,000 title deeds to residents living in Majaoni settlement scheme, and the process of allocation of these particular titles have been going on, and currently I'm told that over 800 people have so far received their title deeds, and it's a process that will go on for the next 3 days. People, or rather those expecting their title deeds, have been urged to turn up in large numbers. Of course, I'm even told right now that we have over 1,000 people currently on the queue to receive their title deeds, because they only have until tomorrow to receive this particular important document, and those who fail to do so will have to collect their title deeds at the land registry, because the officials running the program gave them an ultimatum of 3 days to appear and collect their particular documents. Of course, we are also will also be going to hear on what is transpiring at the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops. Remember, we were there a few days ago, and there's also this affirmation whereby the Catholic bishops also reiterated their stand on the use of condoms, saying that it is not a moral teaching by the church. And of course, we'll be bringing you all the details that will be transpiring today. Remember, this is an event that started a few days ago, and it is coming to a conclusion today because, of course, there are also other parties in the key sector. Remember, this is a conference whereby it has invited also the key players in the health industry, whereby we also have the NHIF coming in play, whereby the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops have agreed to work with the National Hospital Insurance Fund to ensure that all the facilities run by the Catholic Church will be able to give patients the right to use their NHIF cards to seek medical treatment. But Ken, for now, that's just a brief of what we're expecting today from here in Mombasa, and I hand it back to you so that you can also get other coverage from the different parts of the country. Back to you, Ken, to you.
Kevin Mutai, thank you very much. Kevin Mutai is for us in Mombasa. We'll be speaking to him again. So Kevin Mutai, just stay with us. But let's cross over and go now to Eldoret, where Lois Wongoe is on standby. Lois, good morning. Good to see you. And how is Eldoret? And of course, the topic of discussion today is about politics. And we want to talk to my panel here, but I know you have a panel. But briefly tell us, what are you going to discuss with your panel this morning?
Many thanks, Ken. Good morning to you, and of course to you, dear viewer. From the county of Uasin Gishu, we'll also be taking a focus on matters politics here in the country. Remember, a few days ago, we did have the Deputy President, His Excellency William Ruto, just taking to the podium and claiming that some elements are trying to push him out of the Jubilee Party, while claiming the very same elements did push him out of the ODM party when he was in that party. I can tell you that those sentiments by the Deputy President have not been taken lightly by the people here, and it is a communication that the people want clarified to just understand what exactly is going on within the Jubilee Party at their internal wrangles, and where does that leave the political future of the Deputy President. Remember, when they took to the campaigns in the August 8th election, the Jubilee Party had promised, and even before that, that immediately after campaigning for President Uhuru Kenyatta and getting his re-election, then they would start focusing all their energies when time comes around 2022 in ensuring Uhuru Kenyatta passes the ball to his deputy, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto. But now that seemingly may not be the case if his words are anything to go by, because already we have seen Mr. Ruto sounding an alarm that all is not well within the Jubilee Party. That will be my focus, to try and understand where that leaves his political future, how come he did make those sentiments, and what sort of message he was trying to communicate to his supporters here in the North Rift. Deputy President William Ruto enjoys good support, and especially here in the county of Uasin Gishu. Remember, this is his home county, a county that did start his political career right from the time he served as an MP here in the county of Uasin Gishu, in the constituency of Eldoret South. So this is the conversation that we'll be looking into, Ken, and also matters a referendum. We have had a number of leaders from this part of the country, that is the Rift Valley, echoing their concerns on the same, saying if indeed there are conversations around a coming referendum, then they would not be in support for it. Of course, they have given their own ideas and explanations as to why they would not be for it, but we will also be trying to analyze that with my team here to try and understand if indeed they are also expressing the concerns of the Deputy President, and also we will be trying to look at these two things, that is the handshake and the referendum, the tension that Ruto has expressed that is currently going through in the Jubilee Party, indeed will be a hindrance to the harmony that we had continued seeing within the Jubilee Party, and to try to understand exactly where that leaves him, his political future and the political direction here in the Rift Valley. I can tell you the mood is that of confusion, and people would rather the Deputy President, when he's coming to address gatherings here, he delves into these matters, because when he comes into the Rift Valley, say for Harambes or even for any other public function, then deputy president steers clear of matters politics, and so it becomes very confusing for the masses here, because immediately after he leaves and say he goes to the coastal region or to central Kenya, then we see him making firm political stance. But when he comes back home, it is more of a development agenda, and so the masses here are not yet clear on where the deputy president really is on where the deputy president could be having challenges or even changes in his political arena. But it means Studio is a team that will help us understand and decode the mood of how Jubilee is carrying its presence, of course, with a sharp focus on the deputy president. Ken?
Right, Lois Ongoi, thank you very much. And of course, we're looking forward to speak to Lois, who is for us in Eldoret. But before we speak to Lois, let's go to Langata Road, where currently the 10th edition of Ndalatga Marathon is currently being launched. Let's listen in briefly.
Ndalat is doing that very well. Other races, we run past marathon. Sometimes we measure on the mature people with IDs that's above 18 years. But this is a specific race that targets around 9 years all the way up, and I think as a station we will always be there. Otherwise, thank you very much. Let's meet in Dalat.
Asante sana. A round of applause for Kass FM. They have also been with us for the last about 10 years in this covering this event for us. Thank you very much. 10 actually. I've corrected over 10 years exactly. Since we started the race, they have been supporting Mzee for all those years. Thank you very much, Kass. And you know, Kass is the engine of Rift Valley as far as communication is concerned. If you are with them, then you are able to communicate to your farmers, to your customers, and so forth. Thank you very much. Skyward, please. The people we fly with, Karibu, they are also our sponsor. Welcome.
Good morning, the Governor, Nandi County. All protocols observed. My name is Beatrice Manyala. On behalf of Captain Mohammed, who's our CEO and Chairman Board of Directors, I would like to say thank you to the Dalatga organizers. We as a company, we are very happy to be here today. We've walked the journey with the family of Isaiah Kipligat and the entire management of Athletics Kenya, as well as the event organizers. And I'm pleased this morning to see Eliud Kipchoge here. He's carried the Kenyan flag across various...
Right, Sean Kadavelis is for us at that function. He'll be speaking to us later. And of course, we'll have a story at the end of the day in Ndalatga 10th edition. We'll be talking about that during the sports hour. But here are some of the stories we're following up for you this morning and late into the evening. Now, there are planned protests in the county of Migori as campaigns heat up. Now, the demonstrations are against the holding of Governor Okoth Obado in custody in relation to the murder of Sharon Otieno. ODM leader Raila Odinga and other leaders are expected in County 044 for the senatorial by-election campaigns as the polls date draws near. Now, the by-election is next week on 8th. Also, the anti-corruption or anti-counterfeit agency will be busy at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Now, the agency is hosting an exercise to sensitize port users and community at large on the ongoing anti-counterfeit and illicit war on illicit goods. It's also going to be an inaugurating its JKI offices, which is to serve as an inspection hub to curb suspected counterfeit imports to Kenya through the port. All right, there's also the Nairobi International Trade Fair, which continues today. It enters the 4th day, if I'm not wrong. And today, President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to attend, and he is also expected to award the Chairman's Cup to the best stunt, which the Kenya Defence Forces won in the last SK show. He is also to participate in the bull auction, which he won last year. Actually, President Uhuru Kenyatta has been winning that auction every year he attends it. Right, and Dan Mule is for us at the ASK Showground. That's in Jamhuri Park. He'll be joining us later on. But apart from that, we are keeping an eye on several stories for you. First, yesterday we told you that Migori Governor Okoth Obado is unwell and is currently receiving treatment at a Nairobi hospital. Now, Obado has been complaining of stomach pains while in remand at the industrial area prisons. Now, the Migori governor is being held in connection with the murder of Rongo University student Sharon Otieno. Is expected to apply afresh to be released on bond on the 8th. Meanwhile, Obado is expected in court, as I mentioned, next week, also on Monday. At the same time, the by-election will be going on in his county. At the same time, NTV has received complaints from Migori residents alluding to a possible go-slow by the county staff. Obado has been out of the office for more than a month now. Also, following up for you today, in politics, a showdown is looming within ODM after renegade members of parliament vow to snub a disciplinary committee, summoning them to show cause why they shouldn't continue or should continue to remain in the party after aligning themselves with the Jubilee Party. Malindi Member of Parliament Aisha Jumwa and her Msambweni counterpart Suleiman Dori have in more than one occasion publicly declared their support for Deputy President William Ruto and his Jubilee Party, and even dared ODM to throw them out of the party. Now, Jumwa, who serves also in the powerful Parliamentary Service Commission, and Dori have also been accused of openly showing disrespect for the party leader Raila Odinga. And an NTV exclusive report on child kidnapping in Nairobi, where children have been abducted in similar fashion. Police are at pains to explain the rampant occurrences which, despite having been reported in various police stations, still continue to trouble most parents right here in Nairobi. And at the same time, Seth Olale is keeping an eye on emerging details in the Monica Kimani murder probe. Now, detectives from the Special Crimes Unit and Homicide Section are planning to visit Juba in order to conduct further investigations, even as investigations team back here at home question more witnesses connected to the three suspects right now in police custody. All right, David Ocean and Sylvanus Osoro will be joining me shortly to discuss everything that is happening in the world of politics in the country. But we're having this discussion also from Eldoret. That's the breadbasket of Kenya and also the backyard of Deputy President William Ruto. And that's where Lois Wongoi is. And Lois, take it away. We will be joining you shortly, but we'll also be watching from right here in Nairobi. Lois?
Many thanks, Ken. Let me start by introducing my panel this morning. Seated next to me is Philip Chebunet, a political analyst. Many thanks, Chebunet, for joining us. Hossein Kasim, a youth leader. Karibu sana. And Mr. Cornelius Saina, ANC branch leader, Uasin Gishu. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and Karibu to NTV. We start with you, Mr. Philip Chebunet. There was this clip where Deputy President claimed there were elements trying to push him out of Jubilee, the very same elements that did push him out of ODM. What do you make of that? Is the Deputy President expressing concern that it is not a field day as usual for him within the Jubilee Party, or is he trying to send a warning even within Jubilee structures to say, hey, I'm not comfortable?
Ruto is aware that Kenya is a very competitive political environment. So more often you need to register your presence to show that you are around, and to show that your ambition is still alive. And also, you know, Ruto is a religious person, and he knows that the thief comes to steal, kill and destroy. And he knows Raila Odinga has an experience wherever he has gone has not been the same again. Look at the handshake. When he came in, you find that things have changed in Kenya. So I think William Ruto wants to secure the party. You know, when you have Jubilee as a party,
not his political ambition?
Not really, because this is the vehicle that if you want to be president, you're going to use it. And the greatest asset that Ruto has now is the party.
Yes.
Because the other parties don't have a national outlook. And so you find that if they secure Jubilee, it's going to be easy for him.
Mr. Saina, do you agree with Mr. Chibunet, or is Deputy President playing to the masses and just trying to whip emotions around his supporters, of course using the handshake as an excuse?
I want to believe that the Deputy President is playing to the gallery, because as you look at it, actually, it is not so much about Jubilee. He's talking about his ambitions, and he was like assured of the president's support and the party's support going to 2022. But as things run now, it is like actually the president and the party are far away from what he's thinking about. In as much as Ruto is fighting to become president in 2022, the president is fighting to leave a legacy for Kenyans. So I want to believe, in as much as he is thinking about being chased from Jubilee, by who now? Because actually the truth of the matter is Raila Odinga is a member of ODM and the party leader to ODM. So how does he come into Jubilee issues? I want to think there is panic. The deputy president is in so much panic. And going forward, I'm sure Jubilee, being a party that was made up of basically two tribes, with the one,
and not a national outlook, as Chibunet would want to
no,
argue.
it is not. That's not the fact. It is basically two tribes. And even the formation of government, when you look at it critically, you will find that it was actually about two tribes. It's now the handshake that has brought in the third tribe. The 41 tribes are outside this government when you look at it critically. So when you look at it from that angle, it shows that when one tribe balls out of Jubilee, which is like a foregone issue, Jubilee will not be there in 2022. And if it will be there, it will be very weak.
Kasim, your thoughts?
I don't think Raila Odinga has the capacity of sending Ruto out of Jubilee, considering that Ruto is the deputy party leader. So if you're a party leader, how do you expect someone who's not even your party member to come and chase you out of the party? So I think about the issue of Ruto saying that he's going to be chased out of Jubilee, which is frustrating. But this is politics, you never know. Yes.
And Mr. Chibunet, there are those who are of the opinion that since the handshake, then the person who's been most uncomfortable in this whole handshake thing and coming together thing is Deputy President William Ruto. But we did see him after the handshake also taking to the podium and even hugging Raila Odinga in public. Why is he, why are there all these conversations about him being uncomfortable, yet he is within the Jubilee Party, and we understand it is the Jubilee Party that extended or had negotiations with Raila Odinga to come together to the table and ensure that all Kenyans move in one direction in terms of calming the political tensions in the country?
I think Ruto is not uncomfortable. He's only careful because of the competition that is there. So with the handshake, I think the handshake has no effect. Remember, Raila has also led in the formation of this Council of Elders. And so I'm not seeing it having any effect because already the president has prepared the people to think of development. And so I am not seeing the handshake really having any effect.
Serving any purpose.
Yeah, because in fact, since then, people have been greeting one another. And I think that one has no problem. The Building Bridges initiative.
Yes.
I think elders have been meeting always. But if this initiative is not involving all people, especially if William Ruto is not involved in this handshake.
Do you feel like he's not being involved?
I think he's not involved.
He's being sidelined.
Because really, if you see a frog, according to Chinua Achebe, he said that if you see a frog coming out of water, its life is in danger.
Yes.
So if you see the deputy president leaving the development-minded talks and coming out and talking about politics, it means that there is a problem somewhere, and he wants to assert his place.
Let me bring in Cornelius. Do you think that this is a tool in which Raila Odinga is using to contain William Ruto, even to sideline him, as argues Mr. Chebunet here, the handshake, quote unquote?
Initially, I want to say that the handshake had some good effect on Kenyan's life because, number one, we achieved the elusive peace that had been missing for some time.
Yes.
And actually that one stabilized the economy, and we moved on as Kenyans. But then, as Chebunet says, we want to see this handshake being all-inclusive. In as much as we want to support the handshake, we want it to be all-inclusive. We want all political players included in the handshake, including religious players and others, because it cannot be about two people. The handshake cannot be about two people, whatever position they hold in the society. We have over 42 million Kenyans. We all have our own opinions. We cannot say that they are right just because they had that handshake. So in as much as we support the handshake, we want it to be really inclusive.
Let us move a bit to the referendum. There has been murmurs about it, and seemingly it is on the way. It is coming. Waswahili husema lisemwalo lipo, kama lipo njiani laja. We have seen a number of leaders from the Rift Valley expressing their position that they are not interested in it. To decode it, many of them say it is a way of Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga trying to seek political relevance beyond 2022. Your concerns on the same, Chebunet?
I think, first of all, if they cannot pay the maize farmers, where will they get the money for the referendum? Because really, the referendum is very costly. Number two, there is no IBC.
On the issue of cost, Mr. Chebunet, there is a time the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Agriculture was here, and we did have farmers just expressing their concerns to them. And just to quote one farmer told Senator Kipchumba Murkomen, since you're very close to the DP, and we see him every other weekend being very generous, in the spirit of investing in heaven, giving 5 million, 2 million in every other church harambe. Why won't you take all that money that you have, first of all, and even give charity towards NCPB? If NCPB is broke, then pay our farmers. Why won't we see that kind of vigorous generosity when it comes to the DP in matters of farmers? But every time he's headed to the coastal region or to central Kenya, seemingly there's a lot of money to splash around.
I think Ruto, Kenya does not belong to William Ruto alone. All Kenyans depend on one budget, and the budget has been prepared, and this is the money that farmers are supposed to get. So the minister even said that on Monday they are going to be paid.
Yes.
And this blame game is, I think there are some people who want to portray the deputy president as a bad person, since he comes from Eldoret and Rift Valley, and these people are not being paid. So I think there's a scheme by some cartels.
Political games, you mean?
So I think, first of all, there should be money to fight the cartels. I think the money should be set aside to fight these cartels first, before we talk about the referendum.
By all means, let's go to the referendum now.
It's very costly, and let us, even the Bible says, give us this day our daily bread. It's not talking about 2019, and in fact there is even the census, and which is very costly. So Kenyans should know that after 2019 and 2020 there is no other work to be done. 2021 is politics.
Yes.
And 22. So the time that people should work is 2019 and 2020. And that is where we are talking about referendum, I don't know, census, and so many other problems. And the economic, the standard of living now is very high.
Yes.
So Kenyans want to deal with what to eat first before dealing with these other things.
Mr. Cornelius, your party leader, in today's daily piece in the Daily Nation says that Kenyans are tired and that the referendum seemingly should not be the way to go.
I want to really echo the same sentiments, because actually as a country, we have many things that are more of priority than the referendum. And then when you look at the referendum, even the mover of the referendum, Mr. Raila Odinga, looks like he's shifting a goalpost towards 2022. And I want to say that is not the right thing to do. We in ANC want to see some things changed in the constitution. But we want to categorically state that this is not the right time to change our constitution. Because we have some issues that we need to sort out as a country. We are nearly going to the CRB over our debts, foreign debts. Now that's what we should be fixing. We should not be talking about the referendum at this time. And then when we look at the referendum, they are not looking at the core issues. Like, for example, sometimes we want to think about our cabinet, cabinet coming from among the MPs, so that they can counter-check themselves. But then you see, that's not what they are talking about. They are talking about having a prime minister, having I don't know how many deputy presidents, how many deputy prime ministers. You know, that is actually out of this world, because that is not the direction we should be going. Even when President retired, Kibaki, ruled this country from 2003 to 2012, 13, he ruled using the old constitution, and we were good enough. So actually, this referendum thing is an excuse that our laziness takes us towards that direction of referendum. But then again, when you look at our laws as they stand, they are good enough. We only get wrong leaders to implement our laws, because when you look at the elections that we
Let me bring in Mr. Kasim. Hold on that thought. Mr. Kasim, of course, the youth play a critical role when it comes to the political issues in this country. So what are the youth saying within their small conversations? Are they excited about conversations around the referendum, or do they think this is yet another political game?
It's very, very unfortunate the politician of this country only uses the youth during the elections, during demonstrations, when they want some mobilization. In between, after one election to another one, you will never hear any of our national leaders talking about the youth agendas. Youth are only there to fill their stadiums. Youth are only there to carry stones. Youth are only there to carry their placards. But when it comes to agenda, none so far of our national leaders has ever come with a scheme that will help the youth. That is unfortunate for the Kenyan youth.
Okay. Yeah. Not even Jubilee Party?
Jubilee Party tried with their 30% of employment should go to youth and tender, but bring back home closer. As a youth leader in Wasingation, there is a difference between accessibility of information and availability of information.
Okay, hold that thought. We now join the conversation with Ken Mijungu in Nairobi. When we come back, gentlemen, I want us to talk on matters referendum further deep. Will it be the breaking point of Jubilee, or will Jubilee hold waters even beyond the conversation of the referendum, if indeed it sees the light of day? Ken?
All right, thank you very much, Lois Wongoi in Eldoret. Lois is speaking to the experts there on what we want to talk about also from Nairobi. I'm now joined by David Osiang, who is a political and governance analyst. He's a consultant, and lately he's been given a job by the government. He's a committee member of Chemeli Sugar. David, thank you for coming. And Silvanus Osoro, Member of Parliament South Mugirango, they joined me to talk about this. Gentlemen, I'd like first to begin talking about the Orange Democratic Movement. Incidentally, you all belong to, what do you?
No.
Incidental, David. All right, we know that today 2 members of parliament, that's Aisha Jumwa and Suleiman Dori are supposed to appear before the disciplinary committee. Now, they have said that they will not be appearing before that committee. Of course, the reason why ODM has summoned them is because they have shifted their allegiances. It's been a discussion online. We've seen a lot of people weighing in this discussion. And one of the things they're saying, gentlemen, is when you lose allegiance to the sponsoring party to parliament, then you ought to quit. Now, because you're a member of ODM, let me start with that.
Thank you very much, Ken. The Dori Aisha question is altogether dicey, but it is essentially about respecting the rule of law. In this country, we need to ensure that we institutionalize the rule of law to an extent that if anyone were to fall out of it, then we would say various yardsticks have been set before. But if it is done in isolation, then people would raise alarm and said we are targeted. ODM is led by Raila Odinga, who set an example himself when he ran to become, when he was in Ford Kenya and they had a fallout in Ford Kenya. He decided to resign from Ford Kenya and contest the seat of, Kibra, Langata then, as a member of parliament on NDP, and he won and came back to parliament. We need to have principles. However, in the recent past, the principles of adhering to the constitutions of political parties in the country have not been revered. They have not been respected. And for that reason, many others have continued with the same trend because they know there is no punishment for it. And so to punish Aisha and Dori at this time, for others would seem as though they have merely been targeted because they are not the first ones to misbehave this way. However, what Aisha and Dori ought to have done is to appear before that committee, that disciplinary committee, because they still fly the flags of orange. They have their seats, courtesy of the Orange Democratic Movement Party. Aisha is even a commissioner of the Parliamentary Service Commission, which is one of the most plum jobs. A commissioner of the Parliamentary Service Commission is an equivalent of what used to be the assistant minister before we changed the constitution. It's a very powerful position.
Okay.
And because she owes it to the Orange Democratic Movement Party, she should have gone to the disciplinary committee and explained herself, probably elucidated on examples and cases where other people behaved as she did but were not punished for doing what she is doing.
Okay.
But when you then decide that you will not even show up for that disciplinary committee, what essentially you're doing is to tell them, guys, I just do not give a hoot because I have taken my trajectory and path. And it has been made clear because at some point they said, there is the handshake, and because of the handshake, Jubilee is one, the president and the deputy are one. That's been the argument they put. Okay. But the Orange Democratic Movement side has said, we have warned you that there is no need for starting campaigns for 2022 in 2018.
But even that argument, David, about Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta, the handshake, and the argument that it's now one, that Raila Odinga has decided to work with Uhuru Kenyatta. I think in several occasions he has made it clear, I have not changed parties. I have not moved to Jubilee Party. What I'm doing is just helping the president and bringing some sanity into the kind of political environment we have now. So it's a stale argument.
No. It's not a stale argument. I think what the president and the former prime minister are trying to do is to forge a union going forward for the country.
But it's not a movement to the other parties.
No, it is not.
You can't say that Raila Odinga is working within the Jubilee Party.
No, he is not.
Then that argument from the members of parliament can't suffice.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
All
Let me speak to Osoro, his view on the same. The fact that ODM plans to get rid of these people, these two members of parliament.
Let me first say that ODM is the most undemocratic party in this country. And they should actually consider changing the name, the D part, from democracy to dictatorship. And I say that with authority because I've been a member of NASA, and I'm actually falling victim today in the afternoon because I'm told I'm being removed from the committee.
Yes.
And the name has been fronted by the minority leader, Honorable Junet Mohammed.
And why? Just before we proceed, why are you being removed from the committee?
Because I stood with Kenyans on taxation issues.
You are the members of parliament who decided to go against the position taken by the party.
By the party, by the presidency, and all through.
Okay.
And I actually led the choir to sing against the taxation. But having said that, on the very position of the commission, I want first to be on record that Aisha Jumwa is going nowhere, and any other person.
What do you mean she's going nowhere?
She's holding a constitutional office. There is a very big difference between House leadership and constitutional office. Her constitution, she is actually a commissioner under Article 127 of the Constitution of Kenya. And the removal of a commissioner is enshrined under Article 251, where a tribunal must be involved and stuff like that. So calling Aisha Jumwa for disciplinary questioning and stuff like that, that's how she speaks with confidence, because she's actually backed with the law. It is not easy. It's not something that you just say. It is not, that is not a House leadership position. It's not a minority leader position. It's not a chief whip position.
ODM attempted to do that, and it was impossible to remove her because she was backed by the majority in parliament. So
then, they've never tried. They've just been saying.
The time Wanga was removed because she sprinkled water. You remember that?
Exactly. Yes. That was then in the last parliament.
In the last parliament.
But let me say this. I find the handshake very hypocritical, and especially on the side of
before you go to the handshake.
No, that's where I'm leading. I'm actually going to the Aisha Jumwa thing.
Yes, the ODM.
That you are being told, fine, we are forging unity in this country, just like my friend David has said, that the handshake is about the unity of this country. But unity wants to, ignore one other party. That you are telling people that you can shake hands with His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, but do not deal with William Ruto. I mean, what are you talking about? I thought you shook hands with the presidency, the executive, and now you want us to work together.
It's about the allegiance. It's about the allegiance. It's not about working with someone.
Raila himself is actually working with Jubilee, and Jubilee is the president, the deputy president. So why is it that you want people to work with His Excellency the President, but you do not want to work with
you've also been seen working a lot with the deputy president,
and I do not. I'll not apologize for that.
You've made the target next for NASA.
Because the point here is this. The point here is this. There is no indiscipline. There is no gross misconduct on the side of Aisha. And what they're actually doing, they are following the footsteps of
Raila Odinga. Let's listen to this, then come back to this discussion. Let's listen to the soundbite from Aisha and Dori.
Na mimi nataka niwaambie, mimi watu wasiwadanganye, hakuna barua mimi nimepewa kuapia before the disciplinary committee ya chama cha ODM. Maana tarehe 10 na mamboga muhimu sana na constituency. Kwa hivyo kama sina kazi tarehe 10, nitaenda holiday. Tunaelewana? Ni watu kwamba hawana mwelekeo. Ikiwa wewe uko tayari kufanya kazi na serikali, wewe umeshika ngazi ya juu, sisi wadogo tuache tushike ngazi ya chini. Ligi yetu ni hii ya Ruto, tuache tutembee na Ruto. Tuache hizi dededede nyingi ambazo hazina msingi. Iko wakati sisi tulikuona wewe wafaa, tukatembea na wewe, tukatoa mali yetu, tukaacha mabibi zetu. Wengine sisi mabibi zetu walikuwa ni watu ambao kila mwaka wanazaa, tukawaacha pia, ili tuone wewe vipi utafaulu. Lakini si Dori, si Aisha, wala si kiongozi yoyote aliyesema wewe usiwe rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Ni Mungu ndio alitoa uamuzi. Sasa kama tumesaidia upande huo, na sisi tukiamua sasa tunataka kusaidia upande huu kama wapwani tukiwa pamoja, iko makosa kweli?
Okay, I think they're very adamant. They are very adamant, and that's not the only time they've spoken about this. In the last week when the deputy president was in the coast, they repeated this several times, and she said they will not attend, so it's done. So I want to talk about the disciplinary measures going forward legally, what the party do, what the party constitution would say about that. But just finish your sentiments, having heard what they have said, the kind of defiance they have.
What they're saying is actually very right, because as I said earlier, it is actually hypocritical to say that you're forging unity of this country, but you do not want any person to engage the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. You know, we are talking about the Deputy President. I mean, when he goes to coast, for instance, he goes with goodies. He goes and pushes for projects. I mean, it's of course their constitutional right, but they are political. They are equally political. But when Raila goes to coast, he only talks about handshake. I mean, really, we can't be talking about the handshake all through. We need to be talking about development now. We should change tact and talk about development. And by the way, why should the ODM party feel bad, you know, over the independent thinking of members, you know, when we do not really know who will vie in ODM in 2022? Raila himself said earlier that out of the agreement they had with NASA, coalition partners, that 2022 probably it could be Kalonzo. So why is it so bad when members interact? If truly election is very far, then can't you leave people to run up and down, and then, you know, probably you review your position?
You want to take me back to talking about ideals and principles of political parties and your allegiance to your political parties. That's why you're drawing me to
allegiance is not bad, but listen,
relating with courtesy of your sponsoring political party.
Fine, but even Raila Odinga was in NASA, and he shook hands with Jubilee. So what is wrong with that?
Let me make this clear.
Okay.
Because we risk in losing focus. And as my friend Silvana says, let's talk about development. And the greatest hindrance to the talk on development is political campaigns ahead of 2022 elections at this time. And so I want to make, because we are going to create an impression that the Deputy President is untouchable, and whoever touches him is bound for hell and will be punished ruthlessly. That's not the case. Raila Odinga and I think the ODM party have been put to task to explain time upon number why is it, he was even, I think, interviewed by this house, being asked what is so wrong with the Aisha and Dory supporting William Ruto, to which he answered that it's not that they hate the Deputy President. The thing is, when we get into a campaign mode 4 years away from an election, then we are going to be distracted. When the basis of touring the country to give goodies is hinged on 2022, you know, I have done, so let's remember me, 4 years away, we create a distraction from very important things we should be talking about at this time.
Okay.
At this time, we should be pushing for, you know, academic and industry conferences on the Big Four agenda, where we call our biggest players in the field to come and critique or add some knowledge to the Big Four agenda conversations. We should be having conversations around, is NHIF working? Has it been improved? Yes, it has. And to what extent? What should we do better? We should be saying that South Mugirango, where the Member of Parliament Silvanus is one of the places that has the most fertile soil and greatest climate for agriculture. And what would be their role in, what role would they play in ensuring we have food security, which is part of the Big Four agenda?
Okay.
We should be saying companies like Chemelil Sugar, where I'm privileged to serve on the board, are part of the cogs that drive the manufacturing pillar of the Big Four agenda. How many companies of that kind do we have in the country? What is their financial position at the moment? Do they add economic value to the people of the country or not? If we let politics deviate us from these conversations, then we are unable to achieve the fundamentals of the Big Four agenda or even set pace for who will take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta in actualizing some of these. Okay. And that is what the fight has been about. Yes.
Okay. I completely agree with my friend David. Completely. And I want to tell him that what he's talking about, you know, all those things about development and everything, are only found in one man, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. The other side of politics is only found in one man, Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. I mean, I want you to look and weigh the two. And that is why I said, I think we are getting the cat out of the bag too fast. You know, when the deputy president goes, for example, to Coast, he does not go there to campaign. He goes there to commission projects. He does not go there to campaign. Now, the other time we saw a rally somewhere in Siaya, where the Senator, James Orengo, introduced the 2022 politics and said our candidate is Raila Amolo Odinga. So who who is campaigning? Okay, what did Raila go to do in Siaya? Did he go to launch a project? Did he go to commission anything? He just went to campaign. But that's why I'm saying. But William Ruto, the other side, went to Coast, you know, a lot commissioned projects. The other time he was in Kisii. We are going again to Kisii next week to commission several projects and stuff like that. But we've decided, and I think because of lack of activities and I think at this rate I need to say that His Excellency the President should find some activity for Raila Odinga, so that when he moves around the country, he has something to tell people. Because as it is right now, any function he holds or anything that he does, it's politics. But Raila Odinga, you mentioned rightly, he didn't even speak about politics. James Orengo, same as William Ruto, he never speaks about politics. He speaks about development, he launches projects, but the people he travels with, you included, speak about politics and 2022. But that's why I'm saying, and I'm exactly. Let me ask you, and this I should actually, this should be clear. Yes. You've said the people he travel with, or he travels with. Yes. Aisha, myself, you. Yes, speak about politics. Yes. I mean, really, you've commissioned the project. Fine. You cannot separate politics and development. It is not him who is speaking. It's me. Yes. That my choice is, just like your choice could be like 2022, my choice as Osoro is that I've decided to support William Ruto. So what is wrong with that? I'm not campaigning for him. He should campaign for himself. Why should you beat him? Why why are you declaring right there? After, when he comes to South Mugirango, and probably he's launching a project, probably it's a 3-block school, right? Yes. He's done that, and then immediately after launching the project, you come out and say, for us, look at the kind of development that is following Deputy President William Ruto, and this is the reason why we are behind him for 2022. I'll tell you, there's so many reasons, and you see, if you listen keenly to this morning, I've been with my friend Honorable Mohammed, and Moha was telling me that he traveled with the Deputy President commissioning several projects in Coast. And at the end of the day, he got shocked that he's actually tired and even sickly, but the Deputy President still wants to go to one more function. So there are so many things that we look at when we say that that gentleman called His Excellency William Samoei Ruto is a workaholic. And this is when we say that this is the right person for this country. Out of the character, we want Kenyans to see that this is the character that we've seen. However, I agree with you that it is too early to campaign. But I also want to say this. We are not campaigning. We are only stating what we believe should be happening in 2022. You have a minute to wrap this up. You have to take a break. You know, Silvanus is a very good friend politician. Of mine. No, he's that politician. He neighbors my constituency where I almost became Rongo. So I know him from back in the day. Yes. But when he says that he agrees that we should not politic now and then says however, he will state his position. It is very easy to be distracted when we spread our pressures on different things. There is no way we are going to pursue proper development and assess and evaluate the impact of those projects and then be politicking at the same time. What Silvanus should have said is fair enough. The Deputy President will come to commission because he's been sent by the President. He's not doing it on his own. He is an appointee of the President. If the President today decides that the Deputy President does not go to commission things on his behalf, the Deputy President will not do any of those things he does, unless he just go to churches and schools and donate money. But commissioning things like roads are completely at the behest of the President. He does them on behalf of and for the President. So, as parliamentarians and political leaders, because I cease to call Silvanus and myself politicians, we are political leaders. What we ought to do is when the project is commissioned, we then need to assess the impact that project has had after 1 or 2 years and say we had no road here. The President sent the Deputy President to commission a road here,
We have used it for 2 years. And what has that resulted into? It has resulted into our farmers accessing markets, which has then translated into the economic growth and the improvement of living standards in our areas. And for that reason, it is A, B, and C. Now, if we, at the commencement, not even actualization of any project, at the commencement, we are going to declare that we are one particular person is a workaholic, he has commenced this, and so he should be president, then I will argue then we should go to Makueni, where we have actualized, not just commenced, projects that have been impactful on society. But that as it be, that as it may, as he said, James Orengo also brought up 2022 politics. And I don't want to speak from both sides of the cheek. I am saying that 2022 politics should be let to rest so that we focus our energies on what truly can make sense economically for this country. Everyone involved in it, like him and the judge, should seize this discussion.
Okay. Just ask the question in 30 seconds because I have to take a break.
Yeah, the question is this.
Yeah.
What is talking about politics got to do with development? I mean, really, we've commissioned a road.
Okay.
The contractor is on site. I've talked about 2022. Does the contractor stop and carry the excavators out of the site because I've talked about 2022?
All right, gentlemen, stay with me. We have to take a break. We come back. David will have an opportunity to answer that question. What has that got to do with the contract on the ground commissioning? And when we come back, I'd also like to talk about one factor that also came out last week when Deputy President said that Raila Odinga is out to undermine and remove him from the Jubilee Party. We'll talk about that and party hopping in this country. Stay with us. We'll be right back on NTV Today. Right, welcome back to NTV Today. With me in studio is David Osiany, a governance and political analyst. He's also a consultant, and South Mugirango Member of Parliament, Silvanus Osoro. They'll be speaking to me about other issues shortly, but first let's take you back to Eldoret, where Lois Wongo is also sitting with a panel discussing almost the same things she's discussing. Lois.
Many thanks, Ken. I want us to start looking at the reactions and feedback from Wananchi. On my Twitter handle, I have Jim Lagat. He says, the handshake will get to nowhere if Raila wants to use it for political cause. We have Omar Omondi who says, and how have the youths been incorporated in all this conversation of the referendum? I will be getting to more feedback, but in the meantime, my colleague Gabriel Kudaka is in the streets of Eldoret. I want us to listen to him and to get to understand what our Wananchi, or the residents of Uasin Gishu, saying regarding matters referendum, a handshake, and of course the political future of Deputy President William Ruto. Gabriel?
We are having a similar conversation here on the streets of Eldoret regarding the handshake. I spoke to different people and these are some of the views.
Ningependa kuzungumzia hii maneno ya handshake, kwamba handshake imekuwa mzuri tangu mzee akutana na rais. Tunashukuru kwa sababu kila mtu amekuwa na amani, nchi inaendelea vizuri. Lakini kitu yenye natusumbua ni kwamba maisha imekuwa juu na hata pesa imekuwa ngumu kupata. Tunaomba kwamba mzee, kwa sababu wako na yeye ndio mtetezi wa wananchi, aongelee maneno ndio at least tuwe na mambo mzuri nchi yetu ya Kenya.
Mimi naona handshake iko kamili. Imeunganisha Kenya mzima. Nchi iko timamu sahi. Vita iliisha, kisiasa iliisha. Sasa tunaendelea na maendeleo ile Raila na Uhuru wanachenga taifa yetu.
Kwa kila nchi there must be an opposition na ile utawala iko. So kukiwa na handshake walikuja wakakuwa pamoja. So hakuna ile part ya ina challenge government. So government ikifanya hivi kitu mbaya hakuna ile party na challenge. So nimeona handshake imeleta economic crisis in Kenya.
Mimi kuongelea upande ya handshake naona ni jambo ambalo lilikuwa ni mzuri hasa kwa nchi yetu. Sisi kama watu wanaofanya kazi ile chini. Hii miaka yote tulikuwa naona kiongozi wa upinzani ambaye alikuwa Raila Odinga alikuwa na act kama macho ya serikali, kuangaza mambo ya serikali, shughuli za serikali zote, lakini kwa sababu waliungana na Uhuru Kenyatta katika ile handshake, kisiasa mimi sielewi na ubaya gani, lakini kwa uchumi wa nchi ni kama itainua nchi, kwa sababu imeleta amani, imetuliza nchi, watu wanafanya shughuli zao kwa uhuru. Kwa hakika imeleta uhuru kwa wananchi kufanya shughuli zao. Hiyo itasaidia kuinua nchi, hata kama kuna changamoto moja mbili, lakini kwa ujumla itainua uchumi wa nchi na inafanya nafasi pia sisi kama wananchi kufanya shughuli zetu tukiwa na huru, kutembea nchi mzima kwa uwazi. Sababu naunga mkono handshake.
Many thanks, my colleague there, Gabriel Kudaka, just gathering views, and clearly a divide in the sentiments there shared. And let's now get more feedback from social media. Protich Sigei has feedback for you, Mr. Chebunet. He says, tell Mr. Chebunet the government has paid farmers, but that money has landed in the pocket of cartels. He should know cartels by now. You will let us know if you know the cartels by now. Gitch Boy at Tom Gitz says, please spare us the nonsense of 10,000 bob MPs. MPs. It's Kenya. In Kenya, we want to wipe out the rotten and greedy MPs. I think he's talking about our MPs. And Paul M. Ngigi at Generi says, partisan view, we need the referendum. That is just our feedback, and we did listen to feedback also from Kudaka in town. There seems to be a divide even here in the Rift Valley, Mr. Chebunet. Could that be translated into the mood here in the Rift Valley? What is the mood when it comes to matters Jubilee affair in 2022?
I think people know that politics has not really started, and people have been prepared for development. So I think the mood on the ground is one of survival. People are trying to survive, yeah, to get what to eat, the price of paraffin. That is the real mood on the ground, is survival for the common man. Thinking about the referendum, in fact, very few, the ones thinking about the referendum is Raila and Junet and maybe Mudavadi. Those are the ones, and then maybe Kalonzo. But the common man in Kenya is thinking about school fees, what to eat, and not even roads, but basically how to succeed in this tough life, and the taxes. Yeah, people are thinking about what is touching them. For now, the referendum is remote in the minds of Kenyans.
Mr. Cornelius, do you agree that Jubilee is right now just thinking about development, and no politics 2022?
You know, maybe I can say that maybe the president is thinking about development. The deputy president is thinking about 2022. That is automatic. Okay. And you see, sometimes when you look at our politics, short history has taught us that when you push for the presidency so much, you end up losing. I want to believe our honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and the deputy president are fighting so hard to go into opposition in 2022, and they'll end up that direction. So as we speak, we want to see a Kenya whereby we are looking at development. And Chebunet gets strong when he talks about Mudavadi talking about referendum and so on and so forth. What Mheshimiwa Mudavadi has said is that we need to look at our constitution, but not at this time. And that is not talking about referendum. And when you look at what he's been talking about, especially foreign debt, matters economy, he's so focused. He wants President Uhuru to get his act together and make sure that Kenyans are getting getting their rightful share in this life, because life is not permanent. To say that we'll go for debts and debts and debts, and then at the end of it all, nobody is benefiting from what they are talking about. And you know, there is that corruption. This corruption has really eaten into...
Before we go to corruption, let us clear first of all with matters referendum. Will it be the breaking point of Jubilee Party, Mr. Chebunet? Analysts are of the observation, a section of analysts are of the observation that these will be the point probably at which President Uhuru and Deputy President William Ruto part ways.
As I had said earlier, if William Ruto is sidelined in any of these decisions,
define sidelined.
Sidelined is maybe if he's not involved. Yeah, if people are just greeting one another in State House, I don't know, Arambe House, and so forth. Because currently, you don't want to ignore William Ruto. He's well connected. In fact, in all these MPs, yeah, and the senators, the fellow has a very serious network, and so ignoring him, you'll be in trouble. So the president needs to come up with a national dialogue. Yeah, if the president comes up with a national dialogue where the presidency, and when we talk about the presidency, and that's where Raila wants to scatter. He wants to remove the presidency to look like it is Uhuru Kenyatta. The presidency involves deputy president and Jubilee as a party. Okay.
Do you agree, Mr. Cornelius? You seem to be very, very uncomfortable.
I want to think my colleague here is just trying to praise. He's playing psychophancy, politics of psychophancy, because actually when you look at it from all angles, the fact will always remain that what we are looking at today is a deputy president who is disillusioned, because him being the government, that is being the presidency, he should not be complaining. He should not be complaining about not being involved in all these decisions. And if he thinks that he's being sidelined, then it means that he's not in government, and that his future is not predictable. And when you look at it critically, the way Mr. Chebunet has put it, that he has a network. He might be having a network of senators, women rep, MPs, so on and so forth. But these guys are not permanent and pensionable. They can be sacked in the next election. So that is not a network in politics per se. So what I want us to follow is, let us look at Kenya as a country that must move on. And let us look at Kenya far away from the politics that you are playing about this issue of referendum. Because as I say, referendum is actually about Raila Odinga on one side and William Ruto on the other side.
On the other side.
They are not looking at Kenya. They are looking at their ambitions after 2022. And that's not the right thing to do.
Chebunet, Mr. Cornelius says you should not imagine or even think that the deputy president is untouchable.
I think the man to beat now, everybody knows, even Cornelius here and my friend here, the man to beat now. If you see every discussion on social media, in fact there is no newspaper that will sell without the name of William Ruto. So there are joint forces to make sure that he is destabilized. But I think he has enough experience, and when the day comes in 2022, he is the man to beat. So the issue of the crucial issues now in Kenya should revolve around such fellows.
Cornelius, is DP the only person to beat come 2022?
You know, sometimes we might be living in denial because there are so many people out there who want to get this presidency, and seriously so. One of them, and I want to always think that he's the 5th president of Kenya, is one Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi. Looking at the track record, what he has achieved while he was serving in several ministries, it shows that the man to beat in 2022 is Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi. Again, Jubilee has really disillusioned Wananchi. What they are doing, when you look at the corruption, whatever, like even he's talked about the maize. Farmers are not being paid, and even maize is going at 800, 700. Now, can we call that real development at any rate? And you know, the deputy president comes from Rift Valley, especially Uasin Gishu.
Yes.
So if farmers in Uasin Gishu are not getting the money, the money for their produce, how is he going to convince them in future that he is going to improve their life? And he is the president, the deputy president today.
And indeed, we are anticipating a protest on Monday if threats by a section of MPs in the Rift Valley led by Alfred Keter and also MP Sila Tiren from Moiben is anything to go by. When we come back, we'll be discussing that and how that will work out. Previously, we have had a number of demonstrations here in Eldoret, farmers just trying to express themselves, and DP, when he came over after those protests, quote unquote, he told them, watu wa Eldoret, nani amewafunza maandamano? Mnaandamana juu yangu? Simngenipigia hata simu, mnipigia hata muongee Kinandi ningesikia. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out, and if indeed Alfred Keter and Sila Tiren will make true their threat. We will come back with you, Chebunet, on this. In the meantime, I take you to my colleague Ken Mijungu with his panel in our Nairobi studios. Ken?
All right, Lois Wangoi, thank you very much. We'll be going back to Lois Wangoi, who is for us in Eldoret. But right here in Nairobi, we still have South Mugirango Member of Parliament, Sylvanus Osoro, and David Osiany talking about this. You had the right to respond because I want to go to another discussion. Where does doing projects and politics connect? That was the question.
No. I mean, the focus for me, like I said, is what are we able to achieve immediately? Does the initiation of projects guarantee jobs for young people today, which is our biggest problem?
But
does it?
How does that affect?
Does it help us resolve issues around the massive unemployment rates that we have in Kenya? Are we part of laying the foundation for tomorrow by setting up the tempo for this big four agenda and even the Vision 2030, if you were to amalgamate that into the Vision 2030, or the global SDGs? Are we able to guarantee our children a better tomorrow by commencing projects? Those are the questions, the fundamental questions. When all is said and done, all these things must get down to one thing: creating jobs for young people and ensuring that young people have ways, sustainable ways of earning a living.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is not quite clear, because I was very particular that along the way, as we launch projects, we of course offer jobs to our young people. Right now, as we are speaking, we are doing about 40 kilometers of road within my constituency. Young men who are working there are now, they can get a living within that particular day. They can get something, bread by the end of the day. And it does not really stop our talk of politics does not really stop the project from ongoing. The budget allocation has already been set and projects are all ongoing. Now, there's something he also said about the deputy president that, of course, is being sent by the president. I do not deny that. I can't deny that. That is total truth. But I also want to tell him that, you see, the budget making process is done by Parliament. And but then when it comes now to pushing for projects within an area, it is the prerogative of the executive. And that is why when you're politically incorrect, you hardly get your projects in your constituency, because we've really localized our politics in such a way that even development is looked at on the side of on the side of the coalition you are in. And that is why you'll agree with me. There are some areas in the southern part of Nyanza whereby some guy or any person or even the deputy president can go and commission a road, and people will peel it off or pull it off and say, okay, fine, we do not want this, because we've really politicized everything around. Everything is politics. Even if it's development, we think about politics. However, you cannot separate a politician from politics. Our structural way of talk, or the way Kenyan politics is defined or is grafted, it's in such a way that you do politics, you do development. Today as we speak, 1 year down the line after I was elected, there are guys in my constituency who are already talking about 2022. And those guys keep me at bay. They keep, vying for presidency. Again, why people talk about 2022 a bit more earlier is because there is no incumbent as we speak right now. So that any person who will be talking about 2022 will not be an incumbent. It's not President Uhuru Kenyatta. It will be fresh people. And you see, if you look at a beautiful girl and you do not talk to her, and you just wave and don't talk to her, another man comes and talks to that beautiful girl. Why should you complain that you've come late? Why should you complain? So there is a beautiful girl in the name of the presidency. Any person talking about that beautiful girl, allow us to talk, so that we do not tell us that by 2022 you never said. But still, that does not stop any person from doing development. It does not stop anything, because all development projects are already in the budget.
So it's politics of development.
No.
It is politics of development.
Let's say this. Politics must not be campaign. The two can be delineated. They are very different. Politics, basic description, who gets what, when and how. Distribution of resources is what politics is about. It is not entirely about campaigning. I want us to appreciate that to be the deputy to a sitting president means he relies on you as a support system. You must therefore buy into the vision of the president and be a true support system. It is almost impractical or impossible to achieve that if you are divided in your role as a deputy to the president and giving strategic support to the president and also a candidate for 2022. Agreeably, we will have to inevitably discuss 2022 politics. What I am trying to implore us to do is to let that talk come when it's almost a year to that election or thereabouts. Naturally, that will come into place. But while we are still doing all this, allow us to agree here, Sylvanus, that you, the deputy president, Raila Odinga, James Orengo, everyone else, has to channel their energies towards either supporting the president or holding him into account to ensure he achieves his pledges to this country. It's impossible to do it.
That is what we are doing. We are supporting the Big Four agenda. We are supporting development. We are launching projects. We are commissioning roads. We are giving buses to schools. I mean, what we are doing is to support His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya.
Fair enough.
But along the way, as we do that,
you find
we also
yourself asking for
votes. We don't find ourselves.
You
we do not
plan
even ask.
It's deliberate.
We actually do not even ask for votes because I think, again, we need to define what
no,
campaign
you ask
is.
For votes.
We need to define what campaign is. Campaign involves a lot. It involves branding, it involves party, it involves, manifesto, it involves a lot of things. There is no manifesto that has been launched for 2022, so there is no campaign. There is no person who's declared a party of choice in 2022, so there is no campaign.
No, when
there is no branding,
the Deputy President says
there is no campaign.
What we do now will depend on if we get the votes in 2022 or not.
Deputy President never said that.
No, he said it. He said it. No, he said it. That they have
to. The Deputy President said this, and I think it's very clear. He said that by 2022, people will separate those people who've got mere words and people who are.
Said our work right now is to provide. Our work right now is to implement our manifesto. Then come 2022, you will judge for yourself.
Exactly. What is wrong with that? What he's trying to say is this, that clearly he stands a chance, okay, as he's shown interest in the presidency.
He'll be judged based on what he does.
He tells you that, fine, judge us, if you want continuation of the system that is development oriented, then I'm the right person. Because the president is doing the big four, and I'm in support of what he's doing, and that is the deputy president. I'm trying to think the way he probably define his mind out of his. And you see, when he said that, he said that one in the midst of launching a project. So we need not to be looking at politics.
No.
We need to tell people, and the media should be telling people this. He went to Mombasa and did some hospital. He went to Mombasa and did some 2 or 4 or 5 roads. He went to Mombasa and launched, or rather officially opened a school, fully funded by the government of Kenya. You should be saying that. That is what people should be talking about. He went to church and helped build, and he lived by the confines of the good book, Haggai chapter 1 verse 7, that says that, go to the mountain and bring all those things and build the church. And that is what he did, voluntarily. But what are we doing? We are focusing on what other people said about 2022. Why are you sad? Why are people scared about the Deputy President being the president of this country?
Ken,
yes.
I want us to hold Sylvanus to account on how many of the projects launched by the Deputy President have fed into the Big Four agenda. You see, as a policy person, I look futuristically at the impact of our projects today in the future.
Very true.
The building blocks of our future. And that's why initially I did not even appreciate the Big Four agenda. I found it hollow. But as I assessed the drivers of economy, I appreciated the Big Four agenda. And this is it. The Big Four agenda is segmented, okay? Health, you have manufacturing, you have affordable housing, and then you have food security. If the projects launched do not seem to be in support of the Big Four agenda, of course, most of them ought to feed and tie in, of course. That's guaranteed. You cannot have affordable housing if you do not have roads that lead to them. That's fine. But is Sylvanus able to tell me today, out of the projects they have launched, how has it impacted on addressing, for example, the unemployment issue? What are the ratios and the percentages we've been able to say that our unemployment percentages came down from 40% to 33% because of the following projects that we launched? How do they address the bigger issues of the future for this country? That is why I am saying, if we do not play politics, we will have time to focus on how each action, each project will tie in into a better country, as opposed to tying in into a better 2022 presidential election.
We come back.
I think we should discuss before we go to the referendum
and the other issues. All right, we're coming back to finish this discussion because we need to discuss a lot more other things that are happening in the country. But first, let's take you to Jamhuri Park, where President Uhuru Kenyatta is set to officially open the Nairobi International Trade Fair this morning. Now, the week-long event that started on Monday this week is expected to end this Sunday. National, regional, and global exhibitors are showcasing their goods and services services they offer. And the Champion Bull auction will be the climax of today's event, with the highest bidder expected to walk away with the best beef deal. Now, Kenyans have come out in large numbers for this year's event, and of course the numbers have been rising from Monday when this began. Daniel Mule is for us at the Jamhuri Park, and he joins us. He was there also yesterday where the Nairobi governor attended the show, and those preparations for President Uhuru's attendance today. Dan, good morning. Good to see you from the Showground. Tell us, what time do we expect the president?
Thank you very much, Ken. Actually, for the moment, we're still waiting to get the program because some preparations are still ongoing just to get exactly when the president will be coming in. But we have already noticed security being beefed up, a lot of police presence, the military and all that waiting. But we're being told that probably at around 11 a.m. the president is expected in, and he'll be coming to officially open or officially launch the 2018 version of the Nairobi International Trade Fair. So preparations are ongoing. Yesterday we saw the Nairobi County Governor, Mike Mbuvi also making way here just to make sure that everything is going on well. Right now, as we speak, preparations are still ongoing. The number of people right now is quite low. You have a very low number of people who have already come in as visitors in the trade fair so far. But as we noticed yesterday and the previous days, that in the afternoon, that's when great numbers of Kenyans are trickling in here. So we expect maybe probably by 11, the function will be starting officially. But that aside, Kenyans are going to different stands because you have different stands where exhibitors are trying to display the kind of goods and services that they offer to Kenyans. We'll notice that we have more than 300 exhibitors who are in different stands, parastatals, universities. We also have Juakali sector, health sector, education sector. We have so many groups of people trying to display what they have, following the theme that we have, that is innovation and technology in trade, and also things to do with agriculture. So it's all about trying to make life easy, trying to make food more affordable, and trying to make production more efficient. That's the theme. And every person who has a stand here, every exhibitor is trying to make sure that they showcase whatever they have in line with that particular theme. And as you said, when you were introducing me, you talked about the climax of today's events, that will be the Champion Bull auction. I know yesterday we focused on a particular bull, that is the 1.2 tons Boran bull, which is that won the champion. It is the champion in the category of the breeding bulls. But we have the bulls that will be part of that auction, and these are the meat bulls, the bulls that are sold for meat purposes. So that is the stand we are right now. And I'll be joining the managing director from the Kenya Seed Company, that is Azaria. So he'll be talking to us. And the reason why I'm talking to him and I'm at their stand is because it's their bull that won the Champion Bull Award for this year, that is 2018. That is the coveted award here. And we know that the president has been coming here for the last 5 years, and he has been the highest bidder in that particular event. So 5 years running, this will be his 6th year. Last year, the Nairobi governor, Sonko, lost to him when President Kenyatta bought that bull at 1.2 million. It was a 700 kg bull that won the Champion Bull Award last year. So this year, I don't know how things will be. 2 years ago, again, President won it from the then Nairobi County Governor, that was Evans Kidero, and it was 750,000 bull, which was, if I'm not wrong, it was 540 kgs. But that aside, today, these are the Champion Bull. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much. This is Kenya Seed Company.
Yeah, and then I've noticed that we have a bull there that is 740 kilograms still in your stand. Why is it that that is not the Champion Bull when you have a lighter bull winning the Champion Award?
Thank you very much. Once again, we are here at the Nairobi International Trade Fair, and we have come here to participate in this year's show, exhibiting both crops and also our livestock. Here today, once again, I'm glad that we have won that coveted trophy, being the champion again this year in this category. This year we entered several steers, and we entered into 4 categories. In all the 4 categories, we were able to win #1 position. And then we moved on to now look at, in all the 4, now which is the best. So we entered into this exercise and we were able to win the Supreme Champion. So we are really excited and happy that we have won again the Supreme Champion position this year. And we have also been able to win the reserve champion, that's number 2. We also got what you call the 3rd position in that order. That all came to us as Kenya Seed. What I would say is that although this champion is only 640 kilograms, there are other things that the judges look at. They look at the age. It's only 2 years old. And it was able to attain that weight of 640 in 2 years. They also look at other things like the composition of the meat and the fat. So there's that ratio. So from their analysis, they were able to establish that this animal is 75% beef and only 25% fat. So that is a bonus, that's a plus. And that is why it was able to beat the other animal which is weighing 740 and is older. That animal is 740 is 3 years old. So it is older. So this is more tender compared to the other. That's where the difference is. And that's what the judges are looking at. So we really believe that this champion today will be auctioned, and I challenge the bidders who will be coming to prepare themselves. This is going to be a real run today.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. That last year the champion bull was from Kenya Seed as well. You got the 1.2 million shillings?
Yes, we did 1.2 million. And the other year we also did the same. I think we did almost $1 million again. So I'm expecting not less than $1 million this year. And of course, what goes into this is somebody may ask, what is it? What is it that you are doing to win champions? We have done it for the last 6-7 years. It's all about the breeds, the kind of crossings that we make, and then of course the feeding. We have a very strict feeding program, also making sure that whatever we are feeding this animal with is healthy. So we feed it with nice, healthy, maize meal. And
maybe even as we proceed to talk about that, because I would also like you to talk about it. This is a crossbreed. Which breeds have been involved? Do you also have some indigenous breeds involved?
Yeah, indigenous. We have the Boran cross with Simmental. Simmental is an exotic animal, but the Boran is a local one.
Yeah.
So we do breed. We cross those two breeds to come up with this. And apart from that, the most important thing is making sure that the animal is well fed, is healthy, is taken good care of, so that is able to utilize all the feed that it gets to build that weight, and also making sure that you don't also give it too much concentrate, so that it puts in a lot of fat. So they graze a lot. As Kenya Seed, we produce pasture seed like Rhodes grass. They graze a lot, these animals, and then we just supplement that with the concentrates, and making sure that it's clean. It doesn't also get problems with ticks. So we do spray regularly as required, and we keep it also in a healthy environment.
Yeah, okay. I know initially we've been having this champion bull auction, and usually it has been companies and politicians coming to buy. But for the last 5 years, we've seen the president coming in and having been the highest bidder all the time. So is there any difference that you can say maybe when the president comes in and initially how it used to be? Have you seen maybe any difference that you feel maybe is quite encouraging to you?
Yeah, it is good that the president has taken a keen interest also in agricultural show, and specifically even in this livestock show. And this is encouraging to farmers who are raising livestock, and we appreciate that boost that the president has punched on this sector. So we feel that the difference is there, because he pulls other people to come in, and when they come in and they see that yes, there is something here, they will definitely continue. Even after the show, we still get people coming to our farm in Kitale to find out where these animals are, what we do, and how we raise them. And they have been purchasing right from the farm. So that is encouraging.
Yeah, and then we've also seen, you've said this is a crossbreed, the Simmental and the Boran. And we've seen in the breeding category, we have that Boran cow that they're talking about. What does that say about our farmers here in the country?
Yeah, the farmers, there's a great potential. Our farmers can actually... they can be able to raise these animals and also be able to gain from that enterprise. We have good local breeds that they can take care of, they can raise, and make good returns out of that investment. So I encourage our farmers to invest in this sector, and because we know the sector is big, we have livestock, agriculture, and all other sectors, but there's great potential here. We can harness. We don't have to import these animals from anywhere else. We don't have to import meat. We can raise it here locally, clean and healthy.
Yeah, and then maybe lastly, yesterday I was going around when the judgment was going on. The judges were trying to put together the marks before they come up with the winners and the champions in the various categories. And one of the things the judges were saying is that most of the people, the individuals who own the animals, who brought in the animals, most of them are a bit elderly. And they were saying that our youth are maybe not seeing this as an opportunity for them to venture into agriculture. I don't know if you hold the same view.
Well, of course, the majority of the landholders are elderly, but I can also say that the young people have also ventured into this. What needs to happen is for the elderly people to hand over this to the young generation. They can be interested in it if given an opportunity. I know we have a number of young people who have now ventured into this business, raising animals, and I'm very sure with time they'll be able to catch up. It requires patience. I think our young people need to learn the art of patience. Raising animals like this needs patience. You also need to be there. You cannot delegate. You cannot let somebody else take care of them. And I think that's what the elderly people have learned over time, that they need to be there to take care of these animals and provide all that is needed. So for the young generation who are coming in now, they need to learn that art of patience, and it will pay at the end.
Yeah, and then also we also have the international exhibitors who are here to showcase what they have. We have international visitors who are coming to see what we have as a country. Today we're expecting more of them to come with the entourage that will be coming with the president. Perhaps what is the main thing that you feel maybe they'll learn from us as Kenyans as far as agriculture is concerned?
Yeah, I think this is a very strategic forum to learn new things in agriculture and other sectors. Also the technologies that are there. I think Kenya has done great. We have really developed in many sectors. When I compare Kenya and other countries in the region, I know we have made strides. And I wish to encourage anyone who is coming in today and for the rest of the week to see our technology in livestock, in crop production, in many other areas where we are participating in regulatory areas, like when we talk of seed, and also other sectors like manufacturing. We have a lot of participants in this year's International Trade Fair. So they can learn from us, and we are able to actually interact. I can say we will be able to venture outside this region and also extend our trade in other countries, where we can be able to share the knowledge that we have gained over the years with them, so that all of us can be able to develop our economies.
Yeah, and then also you've seen the ring has already been set. The champion bull auction ring has already been set, and we have even places located for international visitors where they'll see the president and the other bidders. I know we have butchers, we have companies who will be bidding for this champion. I also saw the judges looking at the number of teeth the cow is having when they were making the judgment. Why is that important? What is the significance?
Yeah, it is the age. It determines the age. So when they look at that, they will know that this animal is this number of years. So you don't have to tell them. They know it. So that way it is very transparent. They will look at it and assess all the other animals and know that this is the animal, is this old, and look at the weight and look at all other aspects. Then from there they make their own judgment, and then they can either decide from there whether it is a champion or not.
So the fewer the teeth, the younger the animal, the tender the meat.
Yes.
Okay. That's quite interesting. Yes. Yeah, I think you wanted to say something on that, about the teeth.
These are one of our attendants. He's actually been working on this for a number of years now. Yeah. And with me also I have my chairman, who has also come to give us support right here, and general manager right here, and all the other staff. So we work as a team. And that is how we succeed, how we manage to get champions every year.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the amount of money you get from that sale, you take it to your company and continue with the breeding?
Yes, we continue with the breeding. We have other champions waiting for next year.
Yeah.
Yes.
And maybe what opportunities do you have for those young people who feel maybe would like to venture into agriculture, we don't have the capital? What kind of maybe opportunities do you have for them to maybe help them with startups?
Yeah, they can start small. What I can encourage young people is start small and come around and meet us at the show. We can discuss and see how we can partner together and encourage them to venture into this kind of enterprise. There are opportunities, and as I said earlier, they need to be patient and work smart, work hard.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll be waiting to see how much it will cost and what will go. How many people can this cow feed? It's like 650 kgs. How many people can it feed? People are just eating, kawaida, yeah, the normal portions.
This can feed over 1,200 people. Definitely.
Maybe if our camera person can have a picture of the cow, because 650 kgs is not a joke. Yeah?
And 75% lean, tasty meat. It's really fantastic.
Maybe you can also talk about the reserve champion bull, the weight and the tender meat. What percentage?
Yeah, the reserve champion is also there, and number 2, it's about 560. Sorry, the next is 560 kilos. That one also has very good conversion factor. This is higher. 75%. The other one was 60%. That is a reserve champion. 60% meat, 40% fat. That's how it came to that position. It was not able to beat this one.
And why is it that it's the crossbreeds that have been winning this champion? Why not the indigenous ones?
Of course, when you cross, there is always that thing they call hybrid vigor. So it has that ability to put on weight faster. You know, you bring in different genes and it helps to grow. Just like we do maize, we have hybrid. You cross one line another and we get a hybrid. Hybrid is very productive, high yielding. So that is the same concept. Yeah. So we just borrowed from our concept of crossing plants to also crossing animals. Okay. And that's the results.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one word from the chairman before we hand over to studio. Apart from winning these awards, how else do you feel maybe these trade fairs are maybe helpful to farmers and such kind of people? Because they say the Nairobi International Trade Fair is the biggest event in the region.
Yeah, it's very important because when we are here, we have different people from various parts of the country, in the world. They learn a lot, and I think that is quite good. So that they learn from each other, the professionalism, the trade affair, the art of doing things, so that actually that goes on throughout the whole country and the whole region.
Thank you very much. There you have it, Ken, from the managing director as well as the chairperson of the Kenya Seed Company. They're the ones who have the champion bull and the reserve champion bull that will be going to the champion bull auction, where we expect the president to be one of the bidders. And we've seen for the last 5 years that the president has attended that champion bull auction. He has been the highest bidder, with last year being the highest, where he bought a 700 kg champion bull at 1.2 million shillings. The Nairobi governor, Mike Sonko, lost that bid to him, and he bought the reserve bull at 1 million shillings. So this year, how will things be? Those bulls are from the Kenya Seed. This year, it's still from the same company. So we're trying. I will be waiting to see. The champion bull ring is already set. Many bidders have already placed their request to be part of that. The butchers, the organizations, associations, and many of them. The last year's bull was donated to the Kenya Police. Previously, he had donated it to the Kenya Defence Forces. The previous year, he had donated it to Children's Home, where he is the patron. So usually they are for meat. So once he buys them, he donates them to organizations, maybe to parastatals, for people to enjoy the meal. So that's it. This year's champion bull is 650 kilograms. So we'll be waiting to see that. All that is after 11 a.m. when the president will have officially opened the trade fair. We'll have maybe the military, we'll have the police showcasing what they have, maybe their parade and marching and all that. We'll have the parachute showcasing whatever they do and all that. So the showground is still ongoing. People are still trickling in. We still have as many stands as possible. We'll be walking around to have a look at what they have and bringing it to you so that you can have a glimpse of what has been happening here since Monday. And you know this will be stretching all the way to Sunday this week. So Nairobi International Trade Fair is the most prominent event in the region when it comes to trade fairs. And this is where the local, the regional, as well as the international exhibitors come to showcase what they have. And this year, they were told, whatever you are showcasing, make sure that it goes with the theme. Innovation, technology in matters trade and matters agriculture. So the young people have also been encouraged to showcase what they have. And yesterday, it was interesting that we managed to see some of those exhibitors who are having very nice innovations. People using a charcoal jiko, people using a firewood jiko that can as well be used to charge phones and even to light. Then last year, there was a student from the Jomo Kenyatta University of Art and Technology University who won in the Best Innovation Award. And he was using a robot. He could instruct a robot to perform some duties. So it was quite interesting. So it's all about innovation, it's all about creativity, it's all about technology. Institutions and students are being encouraged to come up with better innovations that are going to make work easier. Making work easy means using less effort, getting big output. So those are just some of the things that we are going to be checking out. And today, apart from the Champion Bull auction, we are going to have people being awarded. The judges went around yesterday and a number of exhibitors were won in various categories, in various awards. So today, the awards will be given to these winners and we'll be bringing that to you. But for now, I take you back to studio. Ken Mijungu.
All right, Dan Mule, very interesting indeed. A bull worth 1.2 million shillings, a reserve bull for 1 million shillings. Essentially, you are eating a car. I know it's usually donated by the president after winning that bid. Let's see how much they bid for the bull this year from the Kenya Seed Company. All right, time now to take a short break, but we still have a lot lined up for you. David Osiany and Sylvanus Osora still with me in studio. And when we come back in the next hour, we'll be live from Kakamega County. We'll also be live from Parliament. We'll be taking you back to Eldoret. And of course, we'll have a conversation right here in studio. Right now, let's take a short break. We'll be back. Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Roosevelt faces onto Mount Rushmore in Black Hills National Forest kicked off. The sculptor, that is Gatson Bogan, took 12 years before the granite images were completed. There they are on your screen. And two of the world's most known dictatorial leaders met on this day in 1940. Now, German politician and leader of the Nazi Party, Adolf Hitler, sought to see Italian Prime Minister Benito. Now, they're at the Alps at the Brenner Pass. Now, they met as Hitler was seeking to convince the Italians to help him fight the British who had colonized the country. Now, although Mussolini denied his request, the meeting was very cordial. 1940, I wasn't here, I don't remember those details, but history tells us. Now, after the Second World War ended, there was clamor for world supremacy, and 61 years ago, on this day, the Soviet Union's plan to go to the outer space finally came to pass. Now, the Union launched the first artificial satellite, better known as Sputnik, thus offsetting the space race. Now, Sputnik rather weighed 184 pounds, was 22 inches in diameter, and circled the Earth once every hour and 36 minutes. Right, from Today in History, let's come back to studio, and David Osian still stays with me, and Silvanus Soro is still here with me in studio. Next, we're discussing allegations that NASA leader, ODM party leader, Raila Odinga intends to drive Deputy President William Ruto out of the Jubilee Party. Before we discuss that, let's listen to this.
Hamuwezi kunifukuza ODM, ati mukanifuata, ati munanifukuza Jubilee. Haiwezekani. So if you think you are going to use the handshake to export conmanship into our party, we are telling you that's not going to happen. Fanyeni kazi ingine ya maana. Kama ulidanganyana sijui siku za KANU, ukadanganyana sijui siku za code, ukadanganyana sijui wakati wa NASA, hapa Jubilee hakuna nafasi ya kudanganyana, my friend.
All right, gentlemen, I read a lot out of that statement, but I want you also to read something out of statement. And Deputy President is very clear, William Ruto is very clear on this. I don't know how Raila Odinga intends to do it, but perhaps let me begin with you. You travel a lot with the Deputy President, and you are personal friends of the Deputy President. Is this something that really concerns him, or it was just something that he said at the spur of the moment in Mombasa?
No, he's just sending an alarm to Right Honorable Raila Odinga on his character. I mean, really, it is expected that where Raila goes, there falls destruction. When Right Honorable Raila Odinga joined KANU, then with NDP, of course, there were wars, and then he moved out with several people and formed, joined coalition with the former president, Mwai Kibaki. And that is the history of Raila Odinga. When they also formed ODM Kenya, then he again moved out and formed ODM.
No, it's Kalonzo who moved out.
No. It is him. It is him. It used to be ODM Kenya. He actually moved
Kalonzo
out and bought a
ODM
party from Manyara, from Meru.
Okay.
And got ODM. And that is him. So this statement is not very new. You can remember, you can agree with me that at some point, the majority leader of the Senate once said that we know you've also come to look, to fight me. And you've actually seen, when we are talking about Right Honorable Raila Odinga fighting the Deputy President or trying to push him out of the party, some things are actually on face value. You'll notice that after the handshake, you noticed Raila Odinga vehemently mentioning Ruto negatively. And at some point, when members of parliament from the ODM party or the leaders from the ODM party try to, associate themselves with William Ruto, they are condemned. They are called names. They are called traitors and all those kind of names. And clearly that shows that, okay, fine, we have an issue. We do not have an issue with Uhuru Kenyatta, but we have an issue with William Ruto. And now that he's inside, and he's placed himself as an equal of the president, that anytime he speaks, he says, I am the president, I am the president, I am the president. He's forgetting that we also have the deputy president who is elected. So the point here is this, that you are taking the position. You want to assume the position. And that is why, if you continue playing that clip, you'll notice that the deputy president said, we know what the handshake entails, and we also know what it doesn't entail. So clearly, the deputy president is privy to the contents of the handshake. And he equally knows that probably Raila Odinga is exceeding the confines of the handshake, the agreement of the handshake. And him saying that, okay, you want to push me out, he already knows that some of the sentiments lately made by Raila Odinga and, hiding in the shadow of the handshake are meant to undermine the deputy president. So he sees a plot by Raila Odinga to try and push William Ruto out. Him being a major player in 2022 politics, clearly Raila Odinga has also shown indication that he equally wants to be the president again, to try again his luck in 2022. So he wants to push him out. Okay. But again, it's clear the deputy president said it's not going to be very easy, and it will never happen.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the problem of playing politics instead of working. Because then every action is deemed to be an action meant to try and, distract people from their perceived goal of 2022 presidency. If politics were not part of the whole scenario, if campaigns, not even politics, because everything could be politics, but if campaigns were removed from the context of the goings-on in Kenya at the moment, then Raila's actions will not be deemed to be just actions meant to, to scuttle Ruto's potential for presidency in 2022. But my fear is that the words of the deputy president just confirm what many people may have thought all this while, and most of us dismissed even on this show, that he was against the handshake. Because those very words were first the words of my very, very good friend, Professor Kindiki. Immediately after the handshake, Professor Kindiki in Meru, attending a church function, clearly came out and said, we are not going to allow Raila Odinga. This handshake is nothing about peace and tranquility. It's not about forging unity for the country. It's not about the Big Four agenda. It's entirely about selfish interest. He wants to distract us from 2022. That was the translation of the action of Raila Odinga, according to the Jubilee side, aligned to the deputy president, which is unfortunate. I wish they had seen the basis for the handshake, the 9-point agenda on which the handshake was predicated and what it portends for the country. If they had seen it for what it was beyond the campaigns of 2022, then they would appreciate that those are issues that we need to deal with. When you talk inequality in this country, it has been an issue. When I was here with Professor Kindiki, with Governor Mijungu of Tharaka at one point, I remember telling him that when we talk the handshake and when we talk about inequality, it is him who should be clapping for Raila Odinga, for the simple reason that Tharaka Nithi has been one of the most, ignored parts of this country. And that when we speak inequality, they are the most marginalized of this country and should be the people joining the bandwagon in appreciating Raila Odinga for highlighting inequality as an issue to be spoken about. When we speak about ethnic, segregation, which is fact, the deputy president, alongside with his henchmen like my friend Silvanas, should be the people joining the bandwagon and saying, you know what Raila Odinga has been able to raise and agree to with the president, Uhuru Kenyatta, are actually facts and things we need to resolve and deal with now. But however, they have decided it's about politics. That just like them, Raila is eyeing 2022, and so this whole handshake thing is a farce. It's not real. The tragedy of that is when you lose support of key players like the deputy president in the whole handshake process, then the chances that we are going to ever achieve those 9 serious salient points as put in the handshake document, the Building the Bridges Initiative document, becomes null and void. And I would hate a situation where we lose all that just because we have to play the 2022 politics.
Okay. You see, my friend David is really trying to deviate from the real issue of that involves Honorable William Ruto and Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
Yeah.
But again, I want to say here that leadership is God-given, and it's very important for people to know that leadership is actually godly. I'm a bit too religious, and I read a good book every morning and every evening before I sleep. And I can tell you that I've come to realize that leadership is completely godly. And if you read the good book in the book of Romans chapter 13 verse 1, for those people who confine themselves in the faith of Christianity, you will agree with me that every person should submit himself to the leadership, because there is no authority in this country that is not placed by God. Whichever way you want to look at it, it is actually God that tries to put things the way he wants them to be. Be it as it may, it's very important to say this, that the president of this republic is called Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Like him, hate him, he is the president of this country. Then we have his assistant, who is the deputy president. So any person undermining an elected deputy president, and you see, this is not an appointee, it's electable, that you go there as a duo. You can't actually be elected. You can't be, previously we used to have vice presidents. That's why we are talking about the deputy president, because that was a duo. There are people who went to vote for the president because they wanted Ruto to be their deputy president. So what we are talking about is that we are dealing with the presidency. And the presidency is that we have the deputy president and the president. Now, Right Honorable Raila Odinga tried his chance for the presidency again in 2017 and lost. He tried all means. We went to the street. I was part of the people who went to the street. And I was part of the people who were tear-gassed in this city. And I know that. I want to be on record that I'm among the people who never voted for the president, Uhuru Kenyatta. But I must admit that he's the president. I never voted for him. But he's the president of this country.
So you never voted for the deputy president?
I know. The second time when people were voting, we were told, we were instructed. And I want to say that we've been extremely loyal when it comes to Raila Odinga. And at times when people should be very honest to themselves, that when one is loyal to you at some point and you decide to make an independent about turn, I mean, clearly that should be respected. Now, let me say this, that even as we were doing all those things, we were promised of going to Canaan. And this should be very clear. Raila Odinga promised us that we are going to Canaan. And trust me, I was one of the passengers of that vehicle, where Raila Odinga was the driver, and he had drivers in the name of Right Honorable, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, the former Vice President, and Honorable Moses Wetangula. Now, us as the passengers who are leaders and the other Kenyans who believed in Raila Odinga, along the way, just got to realize that the driver has jumped over. He left us. He left actually the bus moving. We were going to Canaan. And you see, he jumped over. He never talked to the car driver. The car driver, who is Kalonzo Musyoka, never talked to Musalia Mudavadi, never talked to Honorable Moses Wetangula. And they left. The car was actually in motion. The driver is off. And we were inside. So what were we to do? What we did is that we jumped off.
This guy, this is the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem of passengers sleeping in the bus. What we did, they don't know that the driver just invited a co-driver.
The driver gave excuses. The driver gave excuses, or after the other side.
Did this car crash?
Actually,
did it crash?
Now the car crashed.
Noisy and messy crash.
Now, unfortunately, it wasn't noisy because by the time the driver was jumping off, it was already the slow motion. Okay. So the only option the driver had, because he knew his car could not get to that Canaan, he jumped over to the vehicle that was more speedier per se, if I use that term, and moved to that vehicle, which is Jubilee. Now, this is now the most unfortunate part. We all jumped from this vehicle. Some of us jumped from this vehicle, and there are people who are living in denial who are still there. We jumped from this vehicle because we had to survive, to go to Canaan, to the vehicle that was moving.
Yes.
Now, when we jumped there, some of us sat behind the deputy president. Others sat behind Right Honorable Raila Odinga. The saddest part is this, is that the driver that we are having is the president. That is the truth. That is okay, that is not sad. Now the saddest part is that the person who jumped over as a passenger is instructing other passengers like us that now you guys do not be focusing on the co-driver. Focus on the driver. Yet he's also a passenger in that vehicle. The leaders of that vehicle are two. The President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and the co-driver is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying that, and now the driver is trying, the passenger is inciting the people who jumped with him, and he's telling them, you know what you guys need to do? Push this co-driver out of the vehicle so that I remain there, so that I sit as a co-driver. He's actually instructing his people to push the co-driver, and they found the co-driver there.
Okay.
So Raila Odinga is dishonest with this handshake, and I'm saying that with authority because how do you tell us that you want peace in this country, but you do not want people to engage other leaders? Engage every elected leaders.
Okay, I'm coming back to talk about this.
No, I have to reply.
I have someone on standby. Yes, you will reply. I have someone on standby. Okay. Ken Mijungu is reporting from Parliament, and one of the stories we're following up for you is today's Suleiman Dori of Msambweni and Aisha Jumwa of Malindi are supposed to appear before the ODM disciplinary committee, and right now Ken Mijungu joins us from the National Assembly, where he is standing by with Suleiman Dori to ask those questions. Is he attending? Is he going to honor those summons or not? Ken.
Well, thank you very much, Ken, and you're having a very interesting discussion there at Nation Center, and it all ties down to what is happening in the country right now politically, where it is deemed that those who are going against the party will now have to face the disciplinary action. And this action probably, as you have rightly said, I am joined by Msambweni Member of Parliament Suleiman Dori, and we want to talk about this matter and we want to get to the bottom of it, and I want to start my interview from where you've stopped it. Mheshimiwa, welcome to the set. And have you been invited to appear before the disciplinary committee of the ODM?
Asante sana. Ni kweli mimi nimekuwa invited kwa hiyo disciplinary committee, na ni kitu ya kawaida, na nimepata huo ujumbe na tuta comply na vile chama imesema. Yes.
But it is said that you're supposed to appear before the disciplinary committee today. Why have you not gone before it?
Naweza kusema that's a wrong information to me. Kwa sababu I'm supposed to appear before the disciplinary committee on 10th. Na ile maneno inazungumzwa kwa TV sio vile mimi najua. Kwa hivyo tarehe 10 ndio the message I have. Na tutapia before the disciplinary committee. I don't see any reason why I should not appear before the disciplinary committee.
Lakini pia unasema kwamba utaapia before hii kamati, na kuna barua ambayo imetumwa. Barua ile je, ina kuhitaji ufanye nini wewe mwenyewe, na kwa nini umeitwa mbele ya kamati ile?
Naweza kusema ni kwamba sababu ya mimi kuitwa kwa kamati ile ni kuna taratibu ambazo sisi tuna ushirikiano kuwa tunafanya kazi na serikali, na hili ni jambo ambalo mimi silioni kiupande wangu kibinafsi kuwa lina makosa, kwa ajili ni swala ambalo tumekubaliana na upande wa upinzani na serikali kwamba tufanye kazi pamoja, na agenda yetu sisi ni kuona vipi tutaunga mkono vile kinara wetu amesema. Kwa hivyo ile hali iliyo ya mtafaruku hivi sasa, mimi kiupana ama kiuwazi wa mambo ni kwamba sielewi kwa nini kinara ametuambia tufanye kazi na serikali, lakini pia tuwe na mipaka ya kwamba nani tutafanya naye kazi, nani tusifanye naye kazi. Kwa hivyo hilo ni swala ambalo mimi naliona ni lazima kama Wakenya, kama viongozi tuwe na umakinifu sana, kwa sababu yule ambaye tunamuona hapa ama huu ushirikiano haukufanywa kwa sababu ya watu binafsi, umefanywa kwa sababu ya wananchi wa Kenya, na sisi tunafanyia kazi wananchi wa Kenya. Kwa hivyo ni lazima tumakinike na tuone malengo ya ushirikiano baina ya upinzani na serikali ni nini.
Kwa hivyo kwa kifupi unajaribu kusema, what you're saying is that mnafuata alichokianzisha kinara wenu Raila Odinga aliposalimiana naye Uhuru Kenyatta pale Harambee House tarehe 9 Machi mwaka huu.
Kwa hakika ni kweli kabisa. Mimi nataka niseme ni kweli. Hili swala sisi ni kwamba kinara wetu alipokuwa ametupa mwelekeo wa kwamba yeye amesalimiana na rais ili kuleta uwiano mwema katika Jamhuri ya Kenya, na sisi tunafanya swala hilo kwa sababu Kenya ni kubwa. Kenya haisimami pale ambapo watu wanaopeana mkono. Kenya inashuka paka mashinani. Kwa hivyo wale walioko mashinani ni wale wajumbe ambao wamechaguliwa, ambao ni wawakilishi wa vyama tofauti tofauti. Kwa hiyo sisi ni swala ambalo tuunga mkono, na ndio maana tukaona na sisi tuendeleze kufanya kazi na serikali. Na serikali, nataka nirudie tena, haimaanishi ni rais peke yake. Serikali ni rais, naibu wa rais, mawaziri na wale wajumbe ambao wamechaguliwa. Kwa hivyo tukizungumzia serikali ni lazima tuweze kufafanua serikali yamaanisha nini. Serikali ni kubwa, serikali ni pana. Haimaanishi serikali ni mtu mmoja ama watu wawili akitoa wazo basi iwe ni hivyo. Ni lazima lile wazo linalotolewa na serikali, ikiwa ni rais, ni jambo ambalo litakuwa linahusisha Wakenya wote kwa jumla.
Lakini malalamishi ambayo yamefika juu yenu ni kwamba tayari mshasema kwamba mtamuunga mkono William Ruto katika azma yake ya kuwa rais mwaka 2022, ilhali chama chenu tayari hakijasema mwelekeo ni upi ambao watauchukua kuhusiana na swala hilo la mwaka 2022. Nyinyi ni kama, kwa wazungu wanasema, you have extended the handshake beyond the elbow, na kuwa mshakwenda na mkaisisitiza kwamba mwaka 2022 tutamuunga mkono kwa sababu anatupa maendeleo katika maeneo yetu. Naye kinara wenu Raila Odinga hajasema kuwa, ama amenukuliwa akisisitiza kwamba swala hili si la mwaka 2022, ilhali ni la maendeleo na kuleta uwiano hapa nchini.
Asante sana. Mwanzo mimi nataka niseme hili swala ni lazima liangaliwe kwa kina. Na hili swala tunalolifanya sisi, hatusemi ni swala la mtu binafsi, na lisilengwe kwamba hili swala limemlenga mtu binafsi ama ni nani. Wale hata wagombea wa urais, vile hii hali inavyokuwa, hatakuwa mmoja katika hii nchi, wako wengi ambao watasimama rais. Kwa hiyo sioni kuna haja yoyote ya sisi kuwa tuchukuliwe hatua, ama ni hali ya kwamba Pwani imechukua mwelekeo kwamba inafuatana na naibu wa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, ambao hiyo pia ni lazima itambulike. Kama vile tunatambua Dori ni mjumbe wa Msambweni, ni lazima tutambue naibu wa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya yuko, rais yuko, na kinara wa upinzani pia yuko. Hao wote ni lazima watambulike. Na tukishatambua swala kama hili, tutaweza kujua nani anafaa kufanya nini na nani anafaa kufanya nini na mtu mwingine. Lakini yale mambo yote yanakwenda ni kwamba mapenzi ya mtu kusema nitafanya kazi na mtu fulani, hii haimaanishi siasa imeisha. Na huu rais si kesho ama kesho kutwa, ni swala la mwaka 2022. Ni kama wewe kusema umemwona mchumba, ni lazima utumie lugha ambazo wewe utamfanya ule mchumba aweze kuwa karibu na wewe. Haimaanishi ukimwambia nitakuoa ni kweli utamuoa, lakini ni katika lugha ambazo ni lazima uwe utakuwa umeweka mikakati. Na pia sisi kama wapwani ni lazima tutambue kwamba sisi tutatambua mtu ambaye yuko karibu na sisi. Yule ambaye anatambua wapwani wetu atafanya kazi na sisi, tuko tayari. Na mimi nashukuru ya kwamba hata rais na naibu wa rais sisi tutafanya naye kazi kwa karibu. Kwa sababu gani? Kiwa kuna manufaa ya wapwani hatuwezi kupinga. Na hata yule kinara wa upinzani tuko tayari, ikiwa ana swala lolote ambalo litamfaidi mpwani kwa maendeleo, kubadilisha maisha yake, pia sisi tuko tayari kufanya kazi na yeye. Kwa sababu ukweli ni ueleweke wa kwamba Dori, Aisha Juma na viongozi wote wa pwani, bado kila mtu yuko kwenye chama chake. Dori yuko ODM, Aisha yuko ODM, na wale wengine walioko Ford Kenya wako Ford Kenya, walioko Jubilee wako Jubilee. Hakuna sababu moja idiete mkorogo ya kusema kwamba Dori ametoka kwenye chama ama Aisha ametoka kwenye chama ndio tupelekwe ile njia tumepelekwa. Pia nataka nikwambie, niweke wazi ya kwamba sawa, leo sisi tunapiga vita ama tunapigwa vita, tuwapie katika ile kamati, kwa sababu tunasema sisi Ruto ni rais wetu ambaye tunamtarajia mwaka 2022. Lakini ni swali nilikujiuliza ni kwamba Raila, juzi niliona kwa gazeti, ambaye ni kinara wangu, yeye atasimama ama atapigania uongozi mwaka 2022, Senator Orengo amesema. Na yeye yuko kinara wa chama cha ODM. Na my brother Ali Hassan Joho, yeye pia anataka kupigania urais mwaka 2022, ambaye pia yeye yuko kwenye ODM. Kitu cha kushangaza ni kwamba kwa nini awe ameangaliwa mtu mmoja ambaye anapigana kiti cha urais apigwe vita yule, ama iwe ni makosa kufuatana na yule, lakini hawa wengine wawili wanapigania iwe ni nini? Sasa ni lazima pia tutafakari haya maneno. Kama ni kule pwani sisi tunasema tunataka rais, na tunapiga vita kwa sababu sisi tunafuatana na Ruto, kwa sababu sio malengo ya watu wanaona, sio malengo ya wapwani, ni malengo ya mtu binafsi. Sasa basi hata mimi natarajia labda katika hizi siku 2-3 nitaona Raila ambaye ni kinara wangu na namheshimu, na Ali Hassan Joho wakipigana vita, maana wote wanataka urais na wako katika chama moja. Sasa hapo tutakuwa kweli tuna mwelekeo? Hatuna mwelekeo. Malengo yetu sisi kama wapwani tunataka tuseme tuko tayari kufanya kazi na mtu yoyote ambaye atatuletea mabadiliko kwa pwani. Na hii safari ambayo sisi tumetembea na Ruto si safari ambayo ni ya kuleta chuki. Ni lazima tubusarike kama viongozi na tuone faida gani baada ya ile safari tumefaidika kama wapwani. Na mimi nikiwa mwenyekiti wa wajumbe wa pwani ni kwamba ile safari ina manufaa. Manake nataka nitoe mfano wa kwamba sisi tumetembea Tana River. Tana River kuna masuala ya elimu na ya maji ya unyunyizaji katika mashamba ambayo yamefanyika, ambao ni faida za watu wa pale, ambapo tulikuwa na gavana wao. Tukatembea Malindi, tukafanya faida ambazo ni za shule ya kitaifa ambayo itajengwa pale Malindi, ambayo itasaidia wakazi wa Malindi, ambao ni shule ambayo itakuwa ni ya watu wa Kilifi County. Gavana alikuwa yuko Marekani, ametupa apology yake. Tukarudi tukatembea Kwale, tumetembea na gavana wa Kwale. Mbali na tofauti za kisiasa,
labda kabla hatujaingilia swala hilo kabisa, kuna kitu ambacho wewe mwenyewe umesema ni kwa wewe kama mbunge wa Msambweni, na umesisitiza kwamba kushirikiana naye William Ruto ni sawia na vile Uhuru Kenyatta anashirikiana naye Raila Odinga. Je, wewe kama mbunge wa Msambweni, wale ambao wakazi wa eneo hilo wamepata faida gani hadi sasa hivi?
Asante sana. Mimi nataka niseme kwa ufupi ni kwamba mimi binafsi naweza kusema kwa niaba ya watu wa Msambweni, faida tulizozipata katika ile handshake ambayo imefanyika na Raila na Uhuru Kenyatta imetuletea sisi ukaribu kiasi kwamba kufanya kazi na serikali, na faida zake moja ni kwamba mimi nikizungumza hapa kama mjumbe wa Msambweni, mimi ni squatter kwa miaka yote pale ambako mimi naishi, na hii masalimio ambayo yamefanyika imenisaidia mimi. Leo serikali iko tayari, inanisaidia mimi, kumetumwa wale wapimaji ardhi ili watu wangu waweze kuwa na hati miliki. Pili, safari ya juzi ambayo ametembea naibu wa rais, kuna mashamba ambayo yamepimwa zaidi ya miaka 28 ambao watu hawana hati miliki, wanasumbuliwa. Katika msafara ule ametuletea hati miliki ya Mwabungo scheme ambayo tumepata. Kuna sehemu kwa ajili ya usalama ambazo kulikuwa zinasumbua wananchi wa sehemu zile, ambapo naibu wa rais alikuja na alituahidi na ikazenduliwa. Ametupatia milioni 20 ambayo tayari zinawekwa katika vijiji vile ili kukuza usalama, ambapo sehemu moja ni Mabokoni ambako kuna Technical University ambayo imefungwa kwa muda wote huu. So hayo ni mambo ambayo yamefanyika, na mambo mengine ya kielimu ambayo amesaidia katika ile sehemu ile. Kwa hivyo mimi naona ziko taratibu ambazo ni za manufaa, sio kwa Dori binafsi, kwa wananchi wale ambao walimwamini Dori kumpa uongozi ili awatafutie na ili aweze kuwabadilisha maisha yao.
Na kuna mwenzako Aisha Jumwa amenukuliwa akisisitiza kwamba amepanda meli na meli hii inaitwa Sishuki. Je, wewe bado unashikilia kauli hiyo, na je unaona iwapo kupigwa kwenu vita kama unavyosisitiza na ODM ni kwa sababu ya ushirikiano wenu na naibu wa rais, kwa sababu tayari pia yeye ametangaza kuwa atakuwa katika debe mwaka wa 2022, na pia baadhi ya viongozi katika chama chako wamesisitiza kuwa watakuwa debeni mwaka wa 2022?
Mimi nataka niseme hivi mwanzo, mimi nikiwa ambaye naamini dini sana ya Kiislamu, na mimi nina imani ya kwamba uongozi mwanzo unatoka kwa Mwenyezi Mungu, na kwanza sisi ni tuombe maisha mema na tuone vipi tutafika mwaka 2022, kwa sababu hii yote fujo, hii vita yote inakuja si vita vya kwani nani, ni vita ya kutafuta riziki yako binafsi, kwa sababu ile meli amezungumza dadangu Aisha, yale ni maneno ya kisiasa, na maneno ya kisiasa ni lazima watu wazungumze. Yule anayekufanyia wema ni lazima umrudishie mkono, na ile hali ilivyo si hali ya kuzungumziwa kiasi cha kwamba ilete tafaruku, kwa sababu Aisha alipokuwa amezungumza hii meli nimepanda Sishuki, ikiwa kuna manufaa ya watu wake wa Malindi ambao anapata katika hii taratibu tunayotembea. Mimi sioni sababu yoyote ya Aisha kurudi nyuma kama kuna manufaa yapata watu wake na kiongozi yoyote. Tunayotaka sisi ni manufaa ya watu wetu. Ni kama awali nilivyoongea ya kwamba ikiwa Jamhuri ya Kenya ina rais na naibu wake wa rais, watakuwa wako tayari kufanya kazi na viongozi wote wa Jamhuri ya Kenya ili watu wao wanufaike. Sisi tuko tayari kufanya kazi na wao, na hata yule kinara wa upinzani ikiwa ana manufaa na malengo ambayo aweza kuyaleta katika sehemu zetu, mimi kama Dori niko tayari kumkaribisha na tufanye kazi pamoja, kwa sababu malengo yetu tulionayo sio ya kugawanyika. Ni malengo yetu kama mmezungumzia neno la kuleta Wakenya pamoja. Kuna Wakenya gani tofauti na sisi? Kama wale walioshikana mkono kinara wa upinzani na rais ni Wakenya, hata Dori na Aisha Juma na wale wajumbe wengine ni Wakenya, wana haki kushikana mikono na kuleta uwiano mwema katika Jamhuri ya Kenya.
Kwa hivyo kwa sasa hivi kitu ambacho tunawajuza wa Kenya, najua kuna wengi ambao wanatutazama hapa sasa hivi katika NTV, ni kwamba Suleiman Dori hata akifika pale mbele ya kamati hii ya nidhamu ya ODM, utashikilia kwamba William Ruto ndiye utakayempigia debe tukienda katika mwaka wa 2022.
Murithi, mimi nataka niende tofauti na wewe vile unavyoongea. Kamati ya nidhamu ya chama masuala yake ni tofauti na yale ambayo tunayazungumza majukwani. Yale kamati ya nidhamu ni kutaka kujua kama mimi bado ni mwanachama wa ODM na kwa nini kuna masuala ambayo yana utata wao ambayo hayakuwafurahisha. Kwa hivyo yale ni kwenda kuweka wazi kwa nini kuna masuala fulani ambayo labda ni tofauti na chama. Mimi naona ni haki zangu za kikatiba ambazo zanipa haki za kuzungumza na kueleza na vipi nitawatetea watu wangu. Mimi naelewa hivyo. Kwa hivyo pale si swala la kuzungumziwa Ruto ama mtu yoyote ambaye anataka rais. Maana ikiwa tutamzungumzia Ruto, hata pale nina haki ya kumzungumzia Ali Hassan Joho, si pia anataka rais. Kwa nini atajwe Ruto peke yake? Atajwe Ruto, atwaje Hassan Joho, atajwe mwingine. Kwa nini tutaje Ruto peke yake? Tuzungumzie suala ambalo litakuwa lilipeleka katika kamati ya nidhamu. Kama Dori ajulikane kweli yeye ni mwanachama wa ODM, ambao mimi narudia tena, mimi ni mwanachama wa ODM. Kwa hivyo hii yote na sibanduki. Mimi ni mwanachama wa ODM, sibanduki. Kwa hivyo hii mikakati inaenda, na nataka niwaambie hata kinara wetu wa chama ya kwamba na wale ambao ni viongozi wakuu, hakuna hii fujo yote tunaweka haitotusaidia, kwa sababu tuna malengo na agenda ya watu wetu. Kwa hivyo zile kamati ama zile sehemu sisi tunatoka, hati wale wengine wakae watoe press conference, sijui Malindi watoe press conference, sijui Kwale watoe press conference nini. Hii inatuonyesha vipi sisi malengo yetu ni machache kwa wananchi. Kwa sababu vipi utalinganisha mtu ambaye ameleta msaada kwa wananchi wako na wewe bado mpiga vita? Mfano ni kwamba tuna NGOs nyingi sana, tuna donors wengi sana wanakuja katika nchi. Ikiwa sisi tuko tayari kuwapigia makofi wale ambao ni wadhamini ama donors wanaoleta miradi katika nchi zetu, lakini tupige vita naibu wa rais ambaye amechaguliwa ama rais kwa sababu amefuatana na Dori kwa niaba ya wananchi wake, kweli tutakuwa tuna malengo na hii nchi kweli? Itakuwa tunapotea. Kwa hivyo ni lazima tutulie, hakuna mahali pa kuweka fujo. Kama tumekubaliana watu washikane mkono na wafanye kazi pamoja, sisi kama upande wa upinzani tukubali yale ambayo tumeyafanya. Ni haki ya kila mtu aifanyie ile kazi nchi. Tuache kuleta fujo ambalo halitotusaidia.
Well, Ken, that is Msambweni Member of Parliament Suleiman Dori, who insists that what has actually happened is that he has not left ODM. He still prescribes to the laws and the tenets of the party, but will insist that he will continue working with Deputy President William Ruto as he has come to the people of Msambweni at the hour of need. He equates this to the same working relationship that Raila Odinga has with President Uhuru Kenyatta when they shook hands on March 9th, and insists that what is the problem with me associating with somebody else in Jubilee other than President Uhuru Kenyatta? Yet that is the spirit that our party leader has shown us. So it will be an interesting thing to look out for when they will be appearing on the 10th of October, when they have been called to appear before the ODM disciplinary committee. Back to you, Ken. I know you have an interesting discussion with your panel in studio, and probably Suleiman Dori has given some insights on what you could probably be discussing there in studio. Back to you.
Very right, Ken, indeed. We are discussing the same thing you have been discussing there now with my panel. And we are joined, Ken, right now with Kitutu Churches South Member of Parliament, Richard Onyonka, also joining in this discussion. Ken Muredi, discussing what we have essentially discussed. But now it's good it's coming from Dory himself. And I think he has suggested that he will be attending, which is one thing that the party was worried about yesterday when they said that perhaps he will not be attending. So, Mheshimiwa Karibu, we've been discussing a lot of things, and we are discussing currently the suggestion by the Deputy President William Ruto that Raila Odinga intends to push him away from the party. And I think before we bring you into the conversation, David was going to respond to what Mheshimiwa Osoro was saying about this.
Foremost, I think I am grateful that Dory has decided to go for that disciplinary. It's the right thing to do. You're a member of the party. You may have divergent opinions. Go and express your divergence from the party stand. Go and seek explanations to a few of the things that you disagree with. Go and showcase your standpoint on this matter. And that said, I have seen the clip. I had just reiterated earlier that it seems to me that the Deputy President does not support the handshake.
No.
Because he's just repeated the words that Professor Kindiki had earlier intimated, saying Raila has come to destroy. But I had said, and I'm going to repeat it, that if we removed politics of 2022 from this and focused on the things that we will achieve if we supported the Building the Bridges initiative, I speak as a person who knows that a country's future is secured by creating laws and policies today that take care of its tomorrow. If we do not resolve the problems we've had for this past more than 50 years today, and we expect that the future will be any different, then it's going to be problematic. We have clashes today in Njoro. We have clashes in Mount Narok. Why? You think they're happening by mistake? Aren't they the same problems we've had over the years? Issues around land and stuff like that, and resources, are they not addressed in the Building the Bridges initiative document? Then why don't we support it and just remove our political emotions from the process and the perception that one person is trying to undercut the other, so that we all channel our energies towards achieving what that document entails. That is why I said, and I gave a very balanced opinion, that whoever, whether it's Orengo saying Raila should go 2022, must seize, or Silvana saying that it is Ruto for 2022, we must seize these conversations around 2022, channel our energies, let each of them say, as the senator of Siaya County, I want to see what we have been able to achieve with affordable housing under the Big Four agenda, or the processes laid down towards achieving that for Siaya County, or for South Mugirango constituency. Yeah.
Mheshimiwa, from where you sit, we have talked about this with the two gentlemen here, but from where you sit, is there even a possibility that Raila Odinga is able to do what he did in Kanu right now in Jubilee Party?
I'll be honest with you, yes and no. Yes, because history sometimes does repeat itself. But at the same time, Raila has become much more wiser. And I think to a large extent, to me, the interpretation we have right now is that the roles have actually been swapped. Right now, it is Deputy President who's, if you want to use the term, under siege. And right now, it is Raila who is trying to sell himself as somebody who is more agreeable, more admissible, and more acceptable to the ruling class. The issues we have are very simple. I'm in a catch-22. I tend to agree with both these two gentlemen. Number one, my brother is 100% right. This country needs certain things to be done right. The problem with this country is that we are political 24/7. Every single thing in this country, if you get into a matatu now, it's politics. If you get into a barber shop, it's politics. If you go for lunch in a restaurant, people are talking politics. You go to social groups, it is politics. You go to Parliament, of course, is where the politics is. And I think the question we need to ask ourselves is, shouldn't we as a people get to a point where we are now, we should be in a position where we sit and discuss the critical issues. And that is where the weakness of the handshake is. Nobody knows what the handshake is about. Nobody understands structurally whether there is any legal framework, whether there is any framework whatsoever to guide other than the initiative which exists whereby the president and the deputy and Honorable Raila, the prime minister, picked up individuals and gave them a mandate to go and discuss on what the Building Bridges initiative is going to be. And this is where, for example, you find my party leader, Moses Wetangula, is really upset. He's saying, we were in NASA with Prime Minister Raila. We were the people who were telling him that maybe it didn't make sense for us to go and have Raila sworn in as a president because legally Uhuru had been given the instruments of power because he had been declared the presidential candidate and he had won the elections and he had been sworn in by Maraga. Raila then jumps out of that. He then moves on to go and have a negotiated settlement with his enemy. At that time, it was President Uhuru. He then comes with Uhuru and says, now me and Uhuru have agreed and everybody else can go to hell. This is the problem you have even with the deputy president. Under such an initiative, to me, the deputy president should have been given a responsibility to play, a role to play in this initiative. His face should be seen there. Even when Raila's face is being seen, the deputy president's face should be seen there so that we all move together as a team. The truth and the reality is the president has a negotiated settlement with his arch enemy who's called Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. They have got together and agreed on something. That's something nobody knows about it. We are being told we are now going for the referendum. Nobody understands the issues of the referendum that we are going to discuss. Even you, if you are a deputy president of a country, you would be ranting crazy. The DP is upset because it looks like there is something being done, being organized, being choreographed without his express engagement. And that's how I interpret it.
Okay, very interesting indeed. I still want to talk about this, but we understand that Raila Odinga has already arrived in County 044, that's Migori County, where they are campaigning for Ochila Yako, the senatorial candidate for this election, and obviously he's one of the front runners in this election. So as soon as Raila Odinga begins to speak, we will be able to cross over to Migori County for that. But back in studio, gentlemen, this does not, I have had all your submissions on this very single fact that now bothers a lot of Kenyans, but the fact that it came from the deputy president himself. We are forgetting one person. During the time Kithure Kindiki spoke about it, this is a gentleman, a member of parliament, who was even more clear on this, more coherent. He said, you know, we know the history of Raila Odinga. He walks in and walks out. I can't just remember who it was. But the fact that it comes from the deputy president himself, a lot of people are reading a fear in the deputy president that he can even be aimed out. Forget about him saying it will not happen.
No, you see, the point here is this, and I think my brother, Honorable Richard, has put it very well. However, I need to say the point that the deputy president is actually trying to put across is that he is privy to the contents of the handshake. He is actually privy to the agreement. And to me, he's ranting, if you have to go that direction, is about that, right, the person, Raila Amolo Odinga, is exceeding the agreement of the, or the content of the handshake, and now uses it for his political mileage. And by the way, if there is a person who is dishonest in this whole thing, in my opinion, is Raila Amolo Odinga. I mean, if you clearly had, fine, anytime Raila Amolo Odinga speaks, anytime he utters anything, whichever, even in public and everything, he puts himself as an equal to the president. And then he undermines the deputy president. And the deputy president comes out and says, okay, fine.
Does he do it expressly or by action?
He does it expressly.
Expressly, undermines by words, by words. By words, okay.
By words. He says, oh, you know, there are other people. In fact, at some point, he used some story and said, okay, we're going to Canaan. We got some crocodile in river, you know, Jordan or something. I don't know, I saw yesterday, Aisha Juma responded very well. I mean, that is a holy river. There is nothing like a crocodile. But now, the point here is that is very true. So the deputy president is privy to the contents of the handshake. And they find Raila Odinga very dishonest when he comes out and says, you know, we are going to do this. And he speaks with authority as though he holds the instruments of power. And by the way, it's like I was actually somewhere with the Honorable Richard. He's actually spoken what I've been saying here. That you see, Raila Odinga left the bus he was driving and without discussing anything with his co-drivers. And then now here he's telling people that, you know, now I'm in this other bus and I'm controlling this other bus. I'm equally controlling this other bus. You guys must follow me or go to hell. And you see, that is a very wrong kind of way of operating. And by the way, Raila Odinga could not have shook hands with the president if the president was again running in 2022. So clearly, if there is a person who is playing politics, with the whole thing, is Raila Odinga. However, there is something that Richard has said about, you know, our Kenyan culture about politics, and that is very true. We've made politics our sports. You know, we've made politics our sports. Look, here today we are in the media house, we're discussing about politics. We are not discussing about anything else. So we've really made politics our sports. It's all over. And we need to live with that fact, that our sports as of now is actually politics. But it should not be taken that when we define, or rather when we express ourselves with our interest, or we express ourselves with what we want, if Ruto says that he wants to be president in 2022, why should he stop him? Why should somebody say that you are campaigning? Why should David say that, you know, we are campaigning at the expense? Why should I be gagged? Why am I gagged of my interest? I mean, really, if you do not want to discuss
because
about
you lose
politics,
the focus.
Have I lost the focus? I asked him a very good question, that when I'm commissioning a Kenya Medical Training College in Nyamarambe, in South Mugrango constituency, and I talk about 2022, how does my talk stop the construction from ongoing? How do I lose focus? Clearly, I mean, we are discussing politics and we're doing development. And by the way, development is ongoing. The person who is doing politics right now without development is Raila Odinga. Now look, today he's in Migori. He's gone there because he's desperately fighting to make sure that he gets the senator from that other side. Because influence is also going down. Defiance has risen up. I saw people the other day, you know, on the taxation bill, even after having a meeting with the NASA leadership, they still came to the house and said, okay, fine, we are not going to follow what Raila has told us. Because people have actually known that, you see, we cannot be talking about, you know, development of paying, development of victims.
That cut across the board, even Jubilee members of parliament.
And that kind of defiance, it shows clearly that people have thought, by the way, and this I must say, you see, Jubilee, people defied the president, but none of them has been gagged, none of them has been punished, there is no retribution against any member of Jubilee. But look, now that it's NASA that fronted some of us in committees, today they want to oust me, they want me out of defense committee because I went against the taxation bill. I mean, really, clearly, this is a dictatorial leadership.
No. But when Honorable Alfred Keter and the rest, Honorable Tiren, were given positions in the committees, you saw what happened with Jubilee.
No, but
it's usually
not really. I need to respond on the same. You cannot pull the deputy president Alfred Keter's issue. You see,
but why?
Committee membership and committee leadership is voted by members. So if members felt, even if it's out of any instruction, if they felt that they did now to get him out, that was okay.
Voted him in.
But now Alfred Keter decided, but he ought to have fought again and said, okay,
no,
fine,
he
you know,
fought,
it's about
he was
campaign.
told he would be de-whipped.
He was de-whipped, of course.
He spoke to me and they said, it can't happen. We can't allow the party
the truth of the matter is, there is double standards. There is no double standard.
It's double standards.
I must say
You're speaking from both sides of the lips?
No, not necessarily. The truth of the matter here is this. At that particular time, you know, there was a lot of heat within the house and formations had to be formed. I think the government had to take a position by itself because they were, that time, you know, Jubilee and NASA.
Essentially what we are agreeing is that it happens across.
At this
Jubilee can do it.
That is true. That is true. But now, on the taxation thing, how do you then want to, you know, remove members who defied Raila Odinga from committees? For what reason? I mean, can't we think independently?
Okay. Okay, very good. And I see President Uhuru Kenyatta has arrived at Jamhuri Park. That's where the trade fair is currently underway and ongoing for the next 4 days. And we also have the live feed from the county of Migori, where Raila Odinga is campaigning for Ochila Yako for the senatorial seat. And we'll be crossing to Jamhuri Park later. But those are live pictures of President Uhuru Kenyatta laying a stone for, I'm not sure where, perhaps Mule will be telling us later on, because he didn't tell us early this would happen. But let's come back to studio. And I know we haven't finished this point, and I want you gentlemen also to respond to that fact that it's coming straight from the Deputy President. Does it show that he's afraid it could happen? Because for you to come out and speak that strongly, it means it's not only a hunch you're having, it's credible, it's something that is solid that you have said. Let me go to Mheshimiwa.
I think, thank you for giving me this chance again. For me, maybe the point I want to make is that it is true. There is a need and a desire as we sit here in this studio. Out here in Kenya, a lot of people are praying and hoping that, in fact, there would be a semblance of engagement between the President, the Deputy President, and the Prime Minister Raila, former Prime Minister, so that they can come together and eliminate the friction that is seen out here publicly. The statement that the Deputy President gave made a lot of people very worried, because it was a precise statement. It was very, very, very critical against Raila. And a lot of people started thinking about the issues which have been affecting this country politically. In fact, a lot of people saying that here we are now, it looks like we're going to start fighting between the Deputy President and Raila. Then the usual, you go to 2007, you have this tribal clashes thing coming up, you've got all the politicians up in arms. I honestly do believe that we can work together, agree to disagree on certain things, and I believe that we can actually be reasonable and sensible to each other. I just think what I agree with my brother is that at some point, this country needs a certain calmness and a certain level of peace. And as usual, the public is very worried about the political class, how we behave. And the truth is, Deputy President Ruto has a large segment of this country. Former Prime Minister Raila has a large segment of this country. The President rules this country, and he has got also a certain percentage. And the other political leaders. You have got Musalia, Wetangula from Western Kenya. You have, the truth is, we can't be in a position right now where we are going to be at war with each other.
Okay, we can afford it.
And the feeling that is out here right now, a lot of people, in fact, right now the feeling I have is that even in Parliament, many of us are worried and saying, how can we look for a way on how to get Prime Minister Raila, Vice President, Deputy President William Ruto and Uhuru, and even Musalia and Weta to even meet and have a cup of tea.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's all we're talking about next after the break. We're going to talk about the referendum. But before we speak about the referendum, perhaps...
Let me just say, peace and stability are very fundamental drivers of any economy, without which the economy will have shocks. When you create a situation where we are already seeing a potential conflict between two of, leading politicians in the country, as Richard has put it, you will soon have fearful countries giving unnecessary travel advisories.
Okay.
We still have 4 years ahead of us, 4 years to do business, 4 years to make a good image of this country, 4 years to attract tourists, 4 years to attract, investors. No one is going to come into a country that looks polarized already. And I want to urge, you see, all these are done based on a presumption that Raila Odinga is running in 2022. Yet he himself has constantly, he's neither denied or accepted, but I do not remember where he has publicly said that he's running for office. I know his foot soldiers would encourage him to run. It's good for them. But I want us to focus. The fears seen in the country at the moment, even in clashes, you know, the clashes in Joro or in Mao Narok have been attributed to the various things, including politics already. This is 2018. And we already have those clashes and lives lost already. If we stepped down the politics, if we addressed the issues captured in the Building the Bridges initiative, or the Handshake as it is commonly known, if we genuinely put our heart, soul and mind towards securing this country's future by resolving its major problems now, and if the Deputy President were to jump on board as a part and parcel of it, because Richard says that he doesn't feel enjoined in this negotiation. But when he was asked, were you aware? The Deputy President himself said, and I bet you have the clip, that he knew that the President was going to meet the former Prime Minister and that they were going to chart a path forward for the country. So how is it again that he feels that the process that was meant for the good of the country has become detrimental for his ambition in 2022?
All right, gentlemen, I'm told we are out of time. I thought we'll have time to speak about referendum, but the president has arrived at Jamhuri Park. So I'll give you just a minute each to close this discussion. Then I'll let you go. You've been here since 9. All right. Let me begin with you, Mheshimiwa, as we close.
I would like to say, for me, fortunately, I've been a member of parliament for quite a long time. Our country runs better, it feels better, and make people comfortable, like my brothers have said here. I would pray and hope that there will be a way on how we work together as a country. I hope that the DP will continue, because he's a leader now. He's been a leader for a while. I believe that the Deputy President, in one way or the other, must look for a way on how he can engage with Raila, even when many of us may think that Raila and William Ruto may not be friends. I believe that there should be a way they can discuss and let us try and tone down on the noises which are coming out because of the disagreements which are political.
All right, David.
This country is bigger than the 2022 politics. It will come and go and leave us with this country. We need to be able to marshal all the politicians to engage on how do we make this country better, not how do we make the DP president in 2022, or how do we make Raila president in 2022, or anyone else. All the energies ought to be channeled towards meaningful improvement of lives and standards of living in the country. That can only happen if we decide to back by word and action the initiatives laid down to improve the livelihoods of the Kenyans, whether it's in health sector or improving infrastructure or, you know, engaging in securing ourselves in terms of, you know, food security and creating jobs and opportunities for the young people in this country. Until we do that, all these things will count for nothing.
All right, finally.
Finally, myself. Now, leaders should be very honest in their actions. And I think it's very important for the top leadership of this country to be honest. Raila Odinga knows the content of the handshake should actually not exceed that content of the agreement. And the president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, had a promise earlier. He said that he'll be the president for 10 years and leaves to William Ruto. That should be the promise, and it must fulfill it. I mean, really, we need to be very honest when we speak.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much, Richard Onjonka, David Osiany, and of course, Sylvani Osoro for speaking to us. Sorry, gentlemen, we were not able to discuss referendum. We'll have another time for that. We have to cross over. When we come back from the break, we're going live to Jamhuri Park because the president has already arrived there, and we have quite some activity there. Good afternoon. My name is Ken Mijungu.